cold at the touch, dead in the eyes, no signs of life no more. I put your love under the knife. Leave me to die here all alone. No signs of life no more, no. A crying dove may never fly. Black and white. Yeah. Black and white. Oh, 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 oh. It's black and white. Black and white, just let me go. It's only right. For all I know, it's only matter. It's calico, it's black and white. White, white, white. Just let me go. It's only right. For all I know, it's only matter. It's calico, it's black and white. White, white, white. Black and white. Yeah. Black and white. Oh, 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 oh. It's black and white. Black and white.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome to Simracersworld TV, and welcome to rounds 13 and 14 in Season 3 of the Porsche Club of Great Britain Sim Racing Championship. We're back at the incredible, the wonderful, the scenic, undulating, narrow, tight, twisty, challenging Oulton Park in the heart of Cheshire. You'd think we like this place. My name is Chaz Draycott. Alongside me, as ever, is the wonderful Peter MacKay. Peter, we've been saying for a few weeks now that we've got some gems lined up at the end of the calendar. I mean, Brands Hatch was unbelievable for multiple reasons that we'll get into. Oulton Park's amazing, and then Road Atlanta is as well.
Well, when you were giving that description there, Chaz, I thought you were talking about Not Kill. But as we know, Not Kill and Oulton Park are really a class above all others, especially on these shores anyway.
Oh yeah, definitely. We take no bias where possible, but yeah, we certainly are fond of these places. But you know, Oulton Park described as a mini Nürburgring by Joachim Winkelhock a long time ago in the mid-90s when he first drove here in the British Touring Car Championship, and he's kind of right. It's got that same sort of unforgiving nature about it, hasn't it, where it's a narrow circuit and the grass just drags you wide towards a wall.
Yeah, you've got to think that Shell Oil's corner, it's got a bit of the carousel about it. I think that kind of cambered hairpin, or maybe Arenberg. It's like a slightly slower Arenberg going in the wrong direction, of course. Yes, it is. It does. It has that feel to a Nürburgring. Lots of undulation, lots of twists and curves, and I am very, very happy that tonight we are not taking in the Britain or the Hislop chicane.
Yes.
Two legends of motorcycling, so not to do with the name of the chicane, just not bothering with the chicane. We're about to see why as we ride on board the Wins Porsche of Paul Stout, because you are absolutely clattering on here, getting all the way down towards Knickerbrook. Oh, breathe in.
Oh, it's such an exhilarating corner. I mean, Knickerbrook's tough anyway when you go through the chicane, but honestly, doing that, I actually, is a very, very odd comparison. I raced here in the Sunday Drivers MX5 series not too long ago. Actually, I say not too long ago. Flipping heck, 6 months ago now. It was the end of last year. And the corner was scary enough in cars that were doing barely 110 miles an hour into there. These things are doing way in excess of 130 miles an hour when they get there. And obviously, these things, at that speed, they're not as planted as a little MX5, but my God, the drivers are going to have some big cojones going down there this evening, and I think we're going to see some questionable moves, not to sort of disrespect any of the drivers, but we're going to see some sends, I think is the way to say it, as Goffin's just gone second fastest, you know. Holroyd is now third. This is the club class, of course. You will see the liveries loading one by one because we have just had a quick refresh, but it's not too close at the moment. Really shows the challenge of this circuit, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does indeed. Interestingly, I've been keeping an eye on pace in practice and getting a few little whispers from within the virtual paddock. And Luke Holroyd's race pace has been absolutely magic all week. At the moment, sitting third on the grid, about a quarter of a second off the pace of Tom Slater, his championship rival. But watch when we get into the race, Luke Holroyd's paces, and to me, that's much more important to be able to click out those consistent laps. You know, I think it was something, I saw a timesheet where he had about 15 1-minute 27s in a row. Now, that's Jorge Lorenzo style.
Yeah, it is. It really is. And I agree, you know, it's all well and good being able to put in a fast lap, but, you know, you'll never see me qualify on pole. But I'm all about, I won't be the fastest guy out there, but if it comes to race pace, you know, I'll be able to just get on a limit and just stay there and be able to keep the laps churning out, and you are absolutely bang on. It is very important to be able to do that. We've got Gilles Gardner just coming out the final corner now to cross the line. He's ninth at the moment, just over a second off the top spot. Does he improve? Doesn't look like it. We were looking at Michael Rowe, who's just come around the final corner now in the Valvoline machine. So difficult in these cars as well, this circuit, because of the tiny little rises here and there. He goes up to 16th place, does Michael Rowe. Now, one of the main things about those rises is they're not like sudden bumps, are they? They're quite smooth, so it kind of catches you out in the way it unsettles the car and lifts the rear off the ground.
Yeah, and these particular cars, they just don't have the same aerodynamics that you might expect. I think that takes a lot of people by surprise when they drive this 911 Cup car for the first time. Albeit the new version, which I'm sure will come on to iRacing in time, the 992, appears to have a lot more aerodynamic. It's got a rear diffuser on it, which this car, well, doesn't really have much to speak of as a rear diffuser, and that should help keep the rear a bit more planted. But this one, oh, she's lively, is this car. And it's a lot more, it's a lot more, should we say, typical of what you would expect from an old school Porsche. It's got a relatively big engine, big capacity engine, 4-litre, 6-cylinder, of course, but flat 6 boxer engine, but it's hung out over the rear wheels, and that is the key thing. And that has lots of advantages. For example, driving out of slow corners, of course, it's over the driven wheels, it's a rear-wheel drive car. But of course, at other points, it can be it can understeer quite a lot as well. So there is a technique and an art and a flair to driving these cars in the best way.
And a lot of the time, that involves floating it round corners quite a lot. You do see a lot of drivers sort of just nursing the wheel. I mean, I've seen people come around corners like this one here. As you go around Island Bend up towards the Shell Oils hairpin, you see sometimes drivers don't actually have any lock on. You know, they'll chuck it in and they'll just maintain the momentum and just have the car sliding through the corner. It can be so pointy at the front end, obviously not really any weight over the front of it. That's just all used for storage in the road cars, really. And it works well for them as the session very abruptly ends there, as it does in the heat racing formats that we use. But we have our first grid of the night. Tom Slater from Paul Goffin and Luke Holroyd. Amrit Sachdev in 4th. Ollie Carwadine is 5th ahead of Danny Jones. Kyle Hazelton in 7th ahead of Paul Stout. Gilles Gardner and Ryan Penny, who rounds out your top 10. Then it's Andrew Shepherd alongside Heinz Meyer, with Spencer Ayres and Andrew Soper on row 7. Following them is David Patching and Michael Rowe, with Mark Elvin and Ralph Meyer 18th. Then it's Andrew Marston, Gregory Butterworth rounding out your top 20, ahead of Julien Noizet, Peter Brill, João Estevez and Jared Coleman at the back of the field. Now, we've seen great pace from Tom Slater this season, Peter, but sometimes he's just not able to convert them. Paul Goffin's quick as well. Can they stay ahead of Luke Holroyd all the way through?
Well, they've got the track position, so let's wait and see.
We shall indeed. Only one way to find out, I think, is the way they usually say it. Let's go then. Round 13 at Oulton Park is underway. Fantastic start in the background by Ralph Meyer. Good start by Goffin as well. Stays down the inside of Tom Slater. There's Hazelton around the outside of Paul Stout. And look at that coming through. That's Ryan Penny in the number 99, the black machine. It looks like he's changed from the Jaeger Bull. He's got the red driving school livery on the car. And is that a Gran Turismo logo on the back? A little bit naughty on iRacing, isn't it?
You noticed that? Well, you noticed the yellow card on the roof as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Indeed. Maybe he's got a bit of a slap on the wrists. Now, Tom Slater, he's opened up a bit of a gap already to Goffin and Holroyd. This actually is working in his favour now, because if Goffin can hold Holroyd off and the two of them continue fighting, then, to be honest, Tom Slater could just disappear up the road. But this bit of the circuit, Peter, the long straight down towards Knickerbrook, that's going to keep some of these guys together, because it's a big slipstreaming opportunity.
It is. That is one of the big differences from running with the chicanes. So let's see how that one plays out. That might give Luke Holroyd an opportunity to slip past Paul Goffin, because as you can see, and this is where the Nürburgring comparisons come in, because it's so narrow. You've got trees, what feels like right on top of you, and then you swoop round with big changes in elevation. And then you've got to get hard on the brakes here for the final corner at Lodge. A wonderful corner when you get it right. Usually face first in the barrier when you don't.
Yes, indeed. I've had that too many times. Greg Butterworth has had a moment. Big slide. Fun fact about Deer Leap, actually, down there. The only time I've ever been around Oulton Park that wasn't a track walk was actually on a push bike when I was in the Scouts, and we did a big fundraiser where people cycled laps of the track. My brother fell face first down Deer Leap when he suddenly slammed on the brakes and went over the handlebars and split his lip open. So there you go.
And Carl Hazelton let him out in a Porsche, in his
yeah.
very expensive Porsche Taycan, and he can't handle a push bike. I mean, come on.
Yeah, it's very true, actually. I'm probably a bit glad I didn't tell Carl that beforehand. A little bit further up, actually, speak of Carl, he is, if we actually click on him, there we go, Chaz. He's in the middle here of Paul Stout and Ryan Penny, looking quite menacing behind Paul down this straight, although from the start, Paul has got ahead of him, so it's a bit of vengeance on Carl's mind now to take that place back.
Yeah, and of course this is a home circuit for Carl Hazelton, the dealer principal of Porsche Centre Chester, the one-stop shop for all your Porsche needs in the Northwest.
Trust me, it is. I'll do anything to promote him now. Gilles Gardner has just had a little moment
Especially
there.
for ambitious vloggers.
Yes, indeed. Oh, actually, we can see it further up. He's looking down the inside. Ooh. There was a bit of smoke ahead as well. I think someone might have just had a lock-up. I don't think there was any incidents or anything. Oh, look at the run that Carl got out of there. Down Deer Leap, he's absolutely flown around the outside of Paul Stout, and he's going to be on the inside for Old Hull Corner. Ryan Penny looking ambitious as well there, but nothing doing. We move back up the order to the battle for second and third because Paul Goffin is still ahead of Luke Holroyd, and he seems to be keeping that gap open, doesn't he?
Or Slater's checking out.
Left of
Slater is absolutely checking out here in the Jameson mobile. He's obviously been well oiled, well lubricated, so he's got Jameson in his cabinet and Petrol Canada lubricants on his garage shelf. And clearly that's given him the competitive edge at the moment.
Indeed, he's absolutely on it. Really, really strong stuff from him. Now Luke Holroyd is tucked right up behind Paul Goffin here. Julien Noiset's had a bit of an issue at the start of this lap, and I think that's a massive understatement, to be fair. We will have a quick look back at what's happened. He's actually gone back to the pits as well. Let's have a quick check. What's happened here, Peter?
Let's have a look then. Oh, goodness me. He loses it on the exit of Deer Leap. The car just gets away from him. It was almost as if he was thinking about going into the pits and changed his mind. It appered that way. I'm sure it wasn't the case, but strange one.
Yeah, it was a big hit on the wall as well. I'm surprised the car's not more visually damaged. It probably feels horrendous. He did get going again, but he's... After that we just saw there, he jumped back to the pits. Now look at Danny Jones, just in the back of shot there. We'll go on board with him here as he chases down Oliver Cardine. Amrik Sashdev just up ahead. He's right with Luke Holroyd as well now. So we've got a good 5-car scrap going on here for second, third, fourth, fifth and sixth. Then there's a 2.3 second gap back to Carl Hazelton, who's still ahead of Paul Stout. Now he's taken that back. Not too much movement inside the top 10 at the moment. This is... I think much safer driving from these guys, because let's face it, Brands last week was a bit of a controversial one by the championship standards.
Yes, it was. It wasn't the best of nights really for many in the championship. It was sometimes it takes just a day like that in a championship, or really in many contexts, just have that one bad day to think, right, okay, let's reset a bit. And this is much more what we're used to here in the PCGB paddock. I think it's a brilliant job from the organisers to deal with it swiftly and sensitively, but also for at the end of the day, it's all about the guys behind the wheel. If they don't play ball, then you can say whatever you like. And all of the drivers here up and down the grid are clearly on their best behaviour, but they're trying. Goodness me, they're not dawdling around in single file by choice. They're all trying their best. So I think that's good, and because Oulton Park, it's a circuit that bites. You could make a tiny error, you're going to have a big one.
Oh yeah, definitely. And to be fair, that's why I think that it's not single file at the minute. They're just not quite close enough to make a move. But you have to be very, very selective about when you make a move here, because one tiny mistake, like you say, you are going to have a big one. And I think Carl Hazelton's having one as well. Out of shape, he's going to... Always parked it on the right. He needs to get in reverse and just roll backwards. Thing is, when you go off, you need to make the car predictable, don't you? Let's have a quick look at what happened here. I think maybe he's just gone a bit wide on the exit of turn one. It spat the car right, and then in saving it, it's just gone around on the crest. And then as he's got on the brakes, it's just dragged itself left along the tarmac. Oh, and there is cars avoiding him there. Mark Elvin's off. I think as he's come on, there might have been contact. Elvin and Butterworth, both the cars that have gone off around him. They both survive and continue. Not sure about what damage, but real shame for Carl there to have had that mistake and then a bit of contact afterwards. Now, what this has done has put Andrew Shepherd a bit closer to the back of Paul Stout. Andrew Shepherd's been moving up the order. I think, to be fair, Andrew was making a bit of progress earlier, and then now that these guys have avoided Carl during that incident, he's sort of gained a little bit out of it here, Peter.
Yeah, it does seem to be that we're shuffling around a little bit as well. Good run so far from Ryan Penny. It was a difficult meeting for him at Brands Hatch 2 weeks ago, as it was for many. But tell you what, that red driving school livery, it's certainly, he's maybe lost his license from having too many Jaeger bolts. maybe. But yeah, he's got the yellow card on the roof, but carrying it with pride here as well, and doing a good job is Ryan. But back at the front, Tom Slater is leading. I mean, he's extending this gap. 7 minutes down, about 1/3 distance, and at the moment, Luke Holroyd cannot get past Paul Goffin, and it shows you how important qualifying is going to be when we get into the pro class later on. And it's already done for club, but for pro class, I think it's going to be even more important.
Yeah, that's it. And Paul from Porsche Sport in the chat as well. Good to have you with us tonight, mate. He's saying that Oulton Park is a tough one to overtake on, and it really is. Not just down to how narrow it is, but a lot of these corners are so one line that you just cannot put yourself and the other guy that you're fighting offline together, especially now if you are Luke Holroyd or Paul Goffin, because you've got 3 guys queuing up behind you to try and make a move as well. As soon as you compromise yourself or the other driver, then you're just sitting like an absolute sitting duck. Get your words out, Chaz. Complete sitting duck here. So I think Goffin's doing a fine job leading this train, but I reckon he's quite nervous waiting for Luke Holroyd to make a move. David Patching's had a big one into the wall here, Peter. Let's have a look what's happened.
He's gone pa-ching into the wall.
Oh, wow.
Oh, that's huge.
Whoa.
That's huge. Oh, my goodness me. That is fast going through there. Oh, my word. Going through Druids.
It's just not slowing down.
Just can't. It's a technical failure. Look at the wheel.
Yeah.
Oh, no, it's not.
No, it just sounded like there was no brakes at all, did it?
No brakes.
Yeah.
Oh, dear. Does iRacing simulate the pads getting knocked out? God, I hope not.
Yeah.
Coming back to the overtaking, that's a shame for David Patching, but coming back to the overtaking topic, of course, the only time you can really get a proper run is on the run down to Knickerbrook, but to go through there, it takes big guts. And also, if you're making the move, it's very difficult to make the move clean into Knickerbrook, because if you do put it up the inside and your opponent is more or less committed, it takes a lot for them not to get out on the grass and have a crash. So I suspect that Bernie's words of stern, what should we say, Bernie's rows are still ringing in the ears of all the drivers. I don't think anybody wants to be the driver to trigger a bit of a plane crash.
No, definitely. It's
feel the wrath of Bernie.
Yes, you don't want Bernie to get the whip out. I wasn't quite sure what to make of Smoking Steel Garage there in the chat. Someone didn't do their bleed nipples up. I don't know if you're on about me or the car, to be honest, mate. But yeah, that was a real shame to see that for David Patching, and it's one of those horrible moments. Even in the sim, you put your foot on the brakes and the car doesn't stop. Now there's a pig hiding behind the tree there. Andrew Marston has had a moment with João Estevez, previous race winner in the championship. Let's have a look. Andrew Marston hard on the brakes. Oh, João's just broken very late and gone straight into the back of him, unfortunately. And he's into the pits. This is still going on, though, Peter. Second, third, fourth, fifth, and sixth. Amazing battle in between all these guys. And just to distract me again, Peter Brill's off at Cascades.
Yeah, that's easy to do. It's kind of off camber going in there as well, and of course the car's changing direction too. And that's a tricky one there for Peter Brill. But back at the front, this is not in the plan really for Luke Holroyd. That being said, Luke does have a good advantage in the points, and I'm sure that might be playing in his favour. He can afford to finish here, whereas Tom Slater needs to go out and win, and basically win to the end of the season. Coming back to making a move, it's clear that Luke's only going to make a move if he's absolutely got the run on Paul Goffin, which he hasn't been able to do. However, the man behind Luke Holroyd, Amrik Sashstev, we know Amrik, he's not shy of a send, is Amrik. And if there's a cap, he'll have a go.
Oh yeah, Amrik will be right there. He will be right there. It was great to see, actually. Carl Hazelton put some posts out on the Porsche Centre Chester Facebook page the other day, and Amrik was down and saw the car and everything. It was always good to spend time with him, he was saying, on social media. So nice to see Amrik out and about. And now he gets to come on track and fight again with all these guys. Hopefully he won't do a 360, as per the logo on the side of the car, but he's just been such a character since we started commentating on this series, hasn't he, Peter? He's just been amazing.
Remember when he gave me a row for forgetting to reply to his message?
Oh,
I
yeah.
felt so bad. I felt so bad. Because I'm a bit rubbish when it comes to stuff like that. I'm looking forward to having a game of golf with Amrik, because I feel like if there's an option to sort of hit an iron, find the fairway, lay up, or hit a big driver over the trees, just go for it. I feel he's going to be driver over the trees every single time he's going to have a go. Because that's his driving style here in the Porsche Club of Great Britain Sim Racing. I bet you that's exactly what his golfing style will be like as well.
Oh, yeah, it's like with people when they say, you could have 300 brake horsepower or 1,000 brake horsepower. You'd always pick 1,000, because even if you don't need it, it's just nice to have it. You've got to go for the big shabam, haven't you, really? Now, what Holroyd's done here is he's had an attack on Paul Goffin, and he's done exactly what I said might happen here. He's fallen into the clutches of Amrik a bit, although in the time I've said that, Amrik's had a bit of a moment into Cascades, lost out slightly. Carwardine's holding station just behind, probably just enjoying the view at the moment, and Danny Jones doing the same as well. So it's a very, very concentrated train at the moment. They've got 9.7 seconds over this man, Paul Stout. Then we've got Ryan Penny, Andrew Shepherd, Spencer Ayres, Heinz Meyer, Jill Gardner, and then a little gap back to Andrew Soper with Ralph Meyer just behind as well. Jared Coleman, by the way, has done something that... It is Aston Villa, isn't it, on his car? It is. Something that Aston Villa will never do. He's actually climbed 9 places.
Oh, it's God! If it was a more interesting sport, I'd maybe take you up on that conversation point, Chaz. But it's not, so let's let that one settle there.
Yeah.
I wonder who's going to break the deadlock at the front, because they've all been on their very best.
Oh.
There you go. There you go. There it is. Oh yeah. Now, I'd love to see that again. Now, did Amrik back out, or did Luke shut the door in his nose and say, "Don't you dare try that"?
Oh, we've gone a long way back here. Sorry.
Brilliant stuff.
Now, that's the longest I can go.
I think this will be interesting to see how he sets it up, actually. So we're riding on the nose of Amrik Sashdev here, going through Knickerbrook. So, like any move at Oulton Park, you've really got to set it up. He's quite far back here, so I wonder if Holroyd maybe makes a mistake. Up over the oil slick and then into Druids. Horrible. Yeah, just makes... Look at that. Luke Holroyd just makes a little bit of a mistake on the entry to Druids, and that gives Amrik the run. He's still quite far back. He shows the inside. Luke says, "You're joking. Surely not." And Amrik, I think he thinks, do you know, he could... I mean, to be fair to Amrik, he could have let the brake off there and just gone for it. But I think he maybe thought they're both going, who's going to blink first? And actually, for a change, it was Amrik that blinked first. There's a collector's item.
Oh, yeah, it's quite amazing, really. But what a great battle all the same. It's so entertaining. And the fact that these guys are still on track to fight another day is wonderful. We've still got all cars running, despite incidents for the likes of Peter Brill, João Esteves, David Patching, Julian Noizet. Everybody is still running in this race. There's Noizet. He's down in 24th place at the moment, but he's still getting on with the job. Now, we've got this going on in the middle of the field still. We were on board with Ralph Meyer not too long ago. And now, the two of them trying to chase Andrew Soper. Although, again, gaps just fluctuating lap by lap. We've got this ahead as well. Paul Stout with Ryan Penny, Andrew Shepherd, Spencer Ayres, Heinz Meyer all behind him. It's just close everywhere you look, and we get this every single time, don't we, Peter? It's just phenomenal racing.
It's really good. I think the guys they all deserve a big pat on the back already tonight, because this has just been really clean stuff. And, this is actually, I was thinking, this reminds me of...
Oh no.
Oh, I'll be quiet.
Ah!
Oh. Now, that wasn't. It wasn't that it wasn't clean. It just was a mistake. In my defence and in Andrew's defence. Yes. What I was going to say. Whoa! Just loses on the exit there. Oh, that's a big hit.
I think he thought he was going to save it as well. He stayed in the power, didn't he?
Yeah, hit the barrier full toss as well. What I was going to say was this is just like watching a Carrera Cup GB race on the token package, because it's just that sort of, it's a game of chess at very high speed and very expensive cars.
Yeah, definitely. Just waiting to see who blinks first, like you said before. Now
Uh-oh.
Luke Holroyd is getting fed up of waiting behind Paul Goffin here. We've got a lot of battles going on, actually, because... Sorry, go on.
Sorry, does he need to make this move? Look, because the wind's gone. Tom Slater's away. He's disappeared. He's in Birmingham by now. But
Don't know why you'd want to go there.
Well, quite. Yeah, I would just head down the road for a coffee at Porsche Centre Chester. If I was here, so Luke Holroyd doesn't necessarily need the extra points. He just needs. And Carmodine's made a mistake. Oh, dearie me.
Just losing the back end on the exit of Cascades. Now there is a little bit where it suddenly bumps down and settles the car, or vice versa. There. And it's just gone for him, and just as he hits the curb, it continues that lack of adhesion on the rear end. Bit of a kiss against the wall as he goes over the little rise. Oh, Jared Coleman's now off as well. Similar corner. And much like Aston Villa always are, he's looking uphill. Jared Coleman through Cascades. Oh, he's on the power on a bit of a tighter line, and then the car bites on the right wheels, but not on the left, and spits it over to the right-hand side. That's a real shame. And he gets going again, albeit at reduced pace. Waits for Andrew Soper to go through. But this hasn't gone away here. Peter is... Oh, no, Julien Noiset's off in front of them.
Oh, well done, guys.
Amric.
Amric, hang on to it. Hang on to it. Hang on to it.
He's on the green.
Oh, he's done well there.
That was fair play.
Oh, that was... I bet you that was lock, stop, to lock, stop, to lock, stop, to bathroom. Oh, my goodness.
Oh, now Spencer Ayres is off as well. Got really unlucky.
Some Petro-Canada lubricant on the track.
I was going to say.
Waste good lubricant.
He just went in a bit too hot there through the first apex, a lock up, and then the grass, half of the car on the grass, half of it on the circuit, and it rotates around. We've still got Julien Noiset's still got going, and he's not been hit by anyone. That's a mammoth effort, to be fair to him. But what a save by Amric Sachdev. We'll have to have a look at that, actually, because that must have been so scary. Let's see it through, Peter.
Oh, that's fast. Oh, that's really fast. Do you know what? Look how little wheel movement he put in there.
Yeah.
What? How cool. How cool under pressure there from Amric Sachdev. Well, I know that I might as well... Oh. Yep. Oh, dear.
Yeah.
Oh, dear, oh, dear, oh, dear. Last lap, Luke Holroyd. What's happened here, Chaz?
He might have kissed the grass on the way in. Maybe just gone in. He's just gone in too hot. I tell you what, if he... Oh, Luke!
No way has he got... No way he avoided that barrier. No way. Get it on there. Woo!
Yes, Luke. Oh, I was going to say, if he's not hit anything there, the man's a genius. That's unbelievable. Either way...
I don't think I've ever seen anyone go off there and not hit that wall.
I know. That's absolutely magical. Something else magical is Tom Slater's drive in this race. What a performance by the 53 machine. Great drive. Paul Goffin, a very well-deserved second place. And Danny Jones puts Harry Bow on the podium, just ahead of Amric Sachdev, stunt driver as ever in that race. Carmodine recovers to 5th. Good points for him. And Luke Holroyd is just going to beat Ryan Penny and Paul Stout across the line, Peter. That was an epic race. Very clean all the way through there. Some stunning driving.
I tell you, it was, yes. I completely agree. What seemed interesting that there was a lot more incidents in the last laps. And, okay, that could be a psychological thing, but do you think it could be tyre wear? Do you think is tyre wear going to be an issue after 20 minutes?
I think you'd see some degradation because if you work in these cars hard, especially if the drivers know it's a sprint race, they don't have to make the tyres last for a long time. They will work the tyres hard, but I think that I don't think it would be that bad. Maybe just track temperature going up or something, or just drivers getting a little bit more frantic near the end, knowing they've got less time to get the job done. Quite
possibly. I do hear whenever I speak to my secret paddock spy, Gavin Halls, he often talks about... Well, look at that avoidance there from Andy Marston.
Oh.
That's fantastic. After the checkered flag, Gavin every single week warns me about tyre temperature. Apparently, the tyres seem to spike in temperature and overheat very easily, and it's difficult to get them back down to their optimum temperature. That's why you should go with Pirellis, you see. Wouldn't have that problem.
Yes, indeed. You definitely should go with those Pirellis. It's funny you say that, actually, because I recorded a podcast today with Bobby Thompson. And
oh, did you? Oh, cool.
He's a very funny man. had me absolutely crying laughing. But he was talking about how tyres behave, and you've always got to ask a real driver, what are the tyres like in iRacing compared to a normal tyre? And he said that you do get this strange thing where you can overheat them for half a lap by just doing one corner a bit too hard, really overheat them, and then all of a sudden you can look after them for a little bit, go down a straight, which cools them down a little bit, and then the next corner it's like they're brand new again. He says you just really have to manage them, because what people do is that in iRacing you have the people that complain that the tyres overheat too quickly, but then they don't really do anything to look after them from that point on. They just continue as they were. So obviously the tyres will stay at a temperature that you don't want. It'll be too high. But yeah, they are very, very sensitive. They do spike a lot, and I it's interesting that we have two drivers, guys that both know their craft very well. I mean, at the end of the day, Gavin knows things like that so intricately, and you've got to respect it. And they know the right things, and they have the same opinion on it, which does just. I trust that info. It confirms it for us, really, doesn't it?
I certainly wouldn't argue with it.
Yeah.
That's for sure. It was how is Bobby? Because he had a heck of an egg beater at Croft. He's back to full fitness? Is he?
Yeah. Oh, Goffin's having a big moment there. Yeah, he actually he made a bit of a jest about it, actually, which I was really not expecting, because he was saying that have a crash and everybody loves you, but he was very very open about it all, and he was just a sound bloke. Really good to talk to him. I hadn't really met him before or properly spoken to him, but he's a very, very funny guy. Really, just a genuine bloke. Just one of the lads. It's really nice to see it, because even as people in our position, we get to speak to drivers quite often now, and it's a bit of a bridging the gap between just being a fan to sort of almost being involved, and it's nice to have that. But you still do sometimes feel like maybe speaking to some drivers is a little bit out of reach, or that a conversation with said driver is not attainable, stuff like that. But it's just like sticking one of the lads in a touring car. He didn't come from a background that was full of money like a lot of drivers do nowadays, so he respects the money that's involved with it. He appreciates it all, and he's just a really good guy to talk to. I was a big fan today. It was a lot of fun, and we played Articulate on stream, and it was very offensive.
Oh dear. Did, any plans for his racing this year? Because I know he's not doing touring cars, or didn't plan to anyway, but any news?
Not that I can share on his behalf. I think that's more stuff for him to say.
Well, that sounds exciting.
It's not that there's a promise of news, just that it's not my situation to report on. That's his business and not mine, I'm afraid. I'll have to go down a professional route on that one.
Chaz,
I know.
We need to start talking about bum holes and curries and stuff again to lower the tone back down. Chaz.
I wasn't ready for that. I just wasn't ready for it to come out that bluntly. Oh, Cowding goes fastest.
You Copperberg drinking, BMW driving.
I'm not driving a BMW at the minute because it's broke.
Oh, you're joking? No.
Yeah, it pooed a shock. There's the tiniest of potholes near my house that I always avoid, and I was grumpy and knackered and miserable on the way back from Silverstone on Sunday. And I even said words to. I know. I even said words to the pothole, and one of them was off, and I just hit it anyway, because I was just like, oh, there was idiots on the way home annoying me on the motorway where they speed up to overtake you and then pull in front of you and slow down, so then you have to overtake them, and then they speed up again. Brilliant. Anyway, I got fed up of them, and I hit this one pothole, and then suddenly the car sounded like there was a flipping golden eagle in the boot trying to get out. It was just something rattling around in the back like mad, and apparently the top mount and the top mount and the shock has collapsed. So it didn't feel bad to drive. I mean, it's a BM anyway, so it's not always the best, but yeah, I got a quote from BMW where they told me it was £140 just to look at it. Then just to diagnose it, it's 140 quid. So it's gone to a local garage and it's 195 quid for labour and parts. Thank you. Julien Noise pole position for race 2, David Patching. Then Andrew Shepherd and Peter Brill with Joe Estevez, Andrew Marston, Gregory Butterworth, Mark Elvin, Jared Coleman, and Carl Hazelton round out your 10. I'm going to filter through the rest of them because, as ever, these guys get to the grid mighty fast. Any picks for this one, Peter?
That's a tough one, actually. Jared Coleman.
Jared Coleman starting 9th on the grid. Interesting. I like that shout. Mark Elvin hasn't taken to the grid. Maybe he's just trying to swap the Michelin branding on his car for Pirelli's, but we'll have to see. Round 14 in the Club Championship at Oulton Park is underway. It's not a good start by Joe Estevez. Goes a bit backwards. 3 wide in the middle. That's Jared Coleman, and Carl Hazelton squeezes him to the inside, but at the front, Julien Noise holds on to the lead. It's all very tentative through turn 1. This is what we love about these races, though, Peter. It's the patience on the first lap. Oh, and Andrew's moved over on Gilles Gardner, and he's doing a bit of gardening himself.
Oh, that unlucky there for Gilles Gardner. Just, he's so busy going down there, and you often see cars just getting spat onto the grass. It doesn't take much. It just takes half a tyre on the grass, and round you go. Unless you've got Pirellis fitted, of course, then they just grip and go, of course. Don't forget to use your PCGB discount. Oh, Biff! Oh, dear! Oh, Biff again!
Oh, traffic jam.
Oh. So, now this is where we...
Robot Wars.
Yes. Well, funnily enough, Sergeant Bash, Luke Holroyd, was a party in that particular incident. Now, this is where it gets very interesting because, of course, we have the orange zone rule. If you hit another driver or cause an incident, you have to take yourself for a drive-through penalty. However, some people, it is obviously up to the drivers to decide whether they think they're at fault, such as that, where Jared gives Carl Hazelton a bit of a nudge. Now, the drivers have been asked, if they've caused an incident, oh my goodness, like so, to wait for the driver. If you've spun somebody around, you have to wait until they come by, and it's just pandemonium on the straight there.
More
dear.
cars
Oh,
off.
dear,
Carl's
dear,
gone
dear.
off again.
Oh,
Elvin's
dear,
involved. There goes
This is messy.
Sashdev. We've got cars off at the front. Shepherd's taking the lead from Noise. Oh, no, and he's turned in on David Patching.
Oh.
That's Kelvin Burt accident that all over again. Look at that down the inside. Joe Estevez says thanks very much. Oh, heck. Right, we're going to have to try
brown
and...
sauce all over the trousers.
Oh,
dear.
there is. We're going to have to try and pick out what happened here then. So, Carl Hazelton got a biff as it checked up a little bit. Coleman just doesn't expect him to go that slowly. Gets involved. Then who else went off there? Mark Elvin gets involved in this eventually. So let's see what happens when Mark Elvin gets there. Ralph Myers going down the order now. So, Butterworth just come back into the middle of the road. The car was very damaged. And then, ready? There's another hit from Carl Hazelton, who was trying to get back going again. So once that had happened, Greg Butterworth arrived on this as well. He's got Spencer Ayres going round his outside. Great move that by Spencer. Oh, and then who is that in the 35? I think he got involved in the accident there.
Just got unsighted. But Butterworth literally straight across the circuit. That's careless. I'm afraid.
That's a real shame. And then Joe Estevez is now up into second place. We'll pick some of the rest of it apart later. Paul Stout here side by side with Peter Brill. Paul Stout goes down the inside. We've had more cars go around, and that's a bit of a curse there from Paul at Porsche Sport. He said Carl Hazelton was going to win this race. So there's a commentator's curse, essentially, despite not being a commentator. We'll give you that. So this is Luke Holroyd's move forward now. He's gained 11 places. Andrew Soper's gained 7. The car behind him, though, Danny Jones, 13 spots gained. What a drive so far. Same with Tom Slater, actually.
Interesting, that it's the lead group from race 1 all kind of making their way through together. And there's Tom Slater as well, not too far behind. He had fantastic pace in race 1. Now look at Luke Holroyd's car. Look at the front of it. There's definitely damage on the front of that car. And do you know where that will hurt him? On the straight, which is really where you want to be trying to set up a move into Knickerbrook if you can. That's not going to... It'll be interesting to keep an eye on how that affects his straight line speed. It's not going to help it for sure. And it's going to leave him maybe a little bit vulnerable to an attack. But now not such a problem because he can sit in the slipstream of the cars in front. But coming back to the little sort of... Luke was definitely the last domino in the pack there in that lap 1 incident at Shell Oils. Nothing he could really do to avoid it, but sometimes that's where things can get really messy, and it's not really something. It's not what you need when you're wanting to get a championship closed off. Put it that way.
No, definitely not. I think Ryan Penny
he
got
hits the
caught
brakes
up.
as hard as he can. You can see him there, and just can't stop really. Yeah, there's nothing to do, nothing to avoid there. Nothing to do to avoid it.
Yeah, it was a bit messy, wasn't it? This was a bit further up the road as well from the Carl Hazelton, Jared Coleman incident. Peter Brill had his moment, and then after this, so Coleman goes into the pits. You can see in the background there. Mark Elvin and all those boys went off. And then we had Julien Noisy going off the circuit. This was at the start of the following lap. So he's just gone wide. But then after this, Julien went flying down the order. Oh yeah, because this was the incident here. Turns in on patching. And then they both... That's a humongous hit, that is, for patching there.
I don't think either driver covered themselves in particular glory there, to be honest with you. Well, quite a high rate of attrition. Oh, hang on to it.
Do a Holroyd. Yes.
He is doing a Holroyd, yeah. Got it twice in a row. Yeah, good. I tell you what, normally it's just a one-way ticket to that wall. It's there for a reason, to stop you going carrying through to Shell Oils. But look at Carbadine. Oh, God. Dude, it's like Oliver Kevin Estra Carbadine trying to go to pass on the grass. And look at Slater. Slater, that is so opportunistic. While Carbadine was having a bit of a moment, he just slips by. Well, luck of the Irish, luck of the Jameson powering that number 53 car.
So close to the back of Peter Brill. I was just waiting to hear contact. Shepherd does the fastest lap of the race. Marston is doing a good job in third place. João Estevez second at the moment. Down the inside goes Tom Slater. Marston's going to be sick of me, actually, to be completely honest with you. Ryan Penny does the fastest lap. Andrew Marston asked me to write a piece for the magazine that he's the editor of. And about half an hour later, I got very passionate about commentary and wrote nearly 1,500 words. And I just sent him the file for it and just said, I can only apologise. Because it's only meant to fill like one page and being quite big text. So if anyone has to get the glasses out to read all the tiny, tiny text that I've written, I'm sorry.
And that's the work around the giant portrait that you gave him for the cover shot, the double-page spread as well.
We don't talk about those.
the I Love Chaz feature by Chaz.
Yeah, exactly, that's it. Here's 9 reasons I'm the best commentator. Hire me.
Here's 9 of my best commentary poses.
Yeah, exactly. The esports pose with the folded arms. You got to do it.
with the dodgy sweat wicking t-shirt.
Oh yeah. Oh, flipping out. Paul Stout chucks it down the inside of Spencer Ayres. Scary moment there for him. Bit further back, Heinz Meyer trying to make a move on Peter Brill. It's another great race though. You know, they've had the incidents early on. You know, smashed a few plates, and now we're all right. I think we've got some good moves going on. Heinz Meyer looking down the inside.
Well, he's well safe from getting the wooden spoon anyway, that's for sure. He's not going to get that.
He is indeed.
Yeah.
He's got Ryan Penny in the red driving school behind him, then Ralph Meyer as well. Amrik Sashdev. Sorry, Ralph Meyer is not right behind him. He's a bit further back. Oh, they've both got a bit hot into Cascades there. That's the outside of Daytona line around there. To move further up, Danny Jones goes past Andrew Soper. And this is one of the things I love, like properly love about these second races. When the grid gets mixed up and we do have the odd incident, it just breaks the field up so much and there's moves going on everywhere. Some drivers closing in and other people around them.
Oh, come on!
Big drift. Go on, Andy.
Oh, well held.
Oh, and I think I think that, yeah, Spencer's waiting for him, but I think Andy, in pure rage, has just slammed on the anchors there. It was just a little bit clumsy on the brakes. And Peter Brill just had a moment as well there, but let's have a look back at that, Peter. That was a real shame, that.
Do you know, I had it loaded up before. The next thing I was going to say was this is a career best drive from Andy Marston, the most improved driver in PCGB, and you get nerfed off like that. That is such a pity. That is really a shame. No other way to describe that one, I'm afraid.
Yeah, it's an absolute nightmare for him. Absolute nightmare for him. just don't want to see it. But this, again, it's one of the things that we do get, you know, with the pace of some of the drivers that do come through the order. We do see a big difference in talent from some of the quicker guys that just go that little bit later on the brakes. They turn in that little bit earlier. You know, they carry more corner speed. There is a big overlap in that and an issue. As Ralph Meyer's gone off on the inside of turn 1. He gets going again. He hasn't hit anything. Oh, Ryan Penny. Ryan Penny's doing a bit of grass tracking on the exit of Cascades. That looks like he's lost it one way than the other. Nice drift on the way back, though, but...
Groundskeeper Willie is going to be very angry.
Is that Jonathan Palmer's nickname, is it?
No, he doesn't come this far north.
Yeah, that's true.
Get on with it.
Not for long,
now,
anyway. Not in the helicopter.
tell you what, though, of course, there is a lot of grass here at beautiful Oulton Park, but no problem for Stirling Moss in 1961 when he won the Gold Cup in the one and only four-wheel drive win in Formula 1 at the wheel of a Ferguson.
Really? That's quite the effort. One-wheel drive?
4.
Oh, I thought you said one wheel. I'm pretty sure you said one.
I was gonna short oval.
I was going to say, how does that work? Yeah. I like that, though.
Four-wheel drive, yeah.
Flipping out. That's a good effort, that. I imagine that was quite a weird experience to be driving something like that. Because, I mean, four-wheel drive just does feel very different. Especially when you put your foot in it and turn in. It's just pretty crazy. Nice to see, by the way, that Spencer Ayres has waited for Andy Marston. He's now back behind him again. That's good sportsmanship, that. You know, the contact at first shouldn't have happened, but you have to hand it to Spencer. He's at least waited all that time for him to go back through. As Heinz Meyer's doing a bit of, well,
barbecue.
Oh, see that then when it just gripped and bit in. Big spit out to the right. Now we need to talk about this man, Andrew Shepherd. He is nearly 5 seconds out in front here ahead of João Estevez, who's also doing a good job. Of course, he benefited from the reverse grid earlier in the season at Laguna Seca. But Andrew Shepherd is on a real mission here. He's doing a cracking job with just over 8 minutes to go.
He's obviously had his fruit polos today, giving him the sugar burst for this one. And yeah, very, very strong stuff from Andrew Shepherd. But Luke Holroyd doing a super job here for Porsche Sport with a pretty second-hand looking 911. Of course, incurred that damage on lap 1 as a bit of the last domino in the pack, as we said. And this is what Luke needs to do. He doesn't need to do anything particularly flashy, he just needs to bag points now, and he will be the club class champion. However, that is remarkably easy to say that as he makes his move there on Paul Stout, nice and clean. Stout gives him plenty of room. But yes, it's very easy for us to sit here and say, oh yeah, just drive it to the finish, it's fine. Of course, it's not that easy, is it, Chaz?
No, that's it. You know, as a driver, you'll always want to be pushing forward, gaining more places, getting more points. If you ask the driver, do you want to win the championship with a meeting to go, or do you want to win it by 1 point in the last race of the season? It's a no-brainer for the driver. As a fan, you know, as a broadcaster and commentator and whatever else, and just a viewer in general, you want them to do it at the last race and it be down to one position different, but you've got to think this is their race, not ours. You know, we're here to watch what they do with it, not determine how close it is. And Luke Holroyd has done a smashing job all season, and he's very, very close to winning that title. Now, this is going on a bit further down. We've got Marston ahead of Coleman, Ayres and Sashdev, and they're all getting elbows out here through the Shell Oils hairpin.
That they are, yes indeed. Yeah, Amrik Sashdev on the recovery after the unfortunate tangle on lap 1 at Shell Oils. Now, maybe think that Andy Marston in the Pink Pig, just a couple of cars ahead, you've got to think that the damage on his car is going to be holding him back a little bit as well, so the drivers need to keep that in mind as we head up towards, oh my word, this is getting very busy indeed. Jared Coleman barging through just about. They all get through clean.
Spencer Ayres is carrying so much more speed though, isn't he? You saw it through Knickerbrook how much he closed up. I think he just needs to be wary of that. I think that's what caught him out last time. Ryan Penny flashing the lights for that extra 15 brake horsepower. Oh, we've got cars off. Jared Coleman and Peter Brill on the exit.
Oh, this is massive. Oh, I was just waiting for the big one there.
Yeah. I couldn't hear anybody else coming back out. Let's have a look what happened. Jared's gone down the inside. Peter's going to go for a cutback. Oh, Jared's lost it on his own already, and then they just get stuck together. Peter's on the power, and it just spins the car around in the worst way, doesn't it?
Yeah, that's really unlucky for Peter Brill. It's so frustrating getting caught in those ones where rivals just gone past, has a spin, and then you get taken with. It's not nice, that's for sure. Andy Marston carries on, still in the top 10, and look at that. Just shuts the door. Nicely done. Covers it, saying, if you want to get past the pig, you're going to have to do better than that, Mr. Ayers.
Yeah, Spencer's going to be lining up this move again, though. He's got good slipstream this time, so he's going to try and at least go down the inside, surely. Andy's moving over a little bit just to try and defend it. Spencer's going to go later on the brakes as he goes down the inside. Nice stuff. Better than that. Oh, Sashdev gets a bit of a kiss there from Ryan Penny. Oh, Ryan's actually spun it. Ryan didn't really expect them to slow down that much, and he's definitely not benefited from that, unfortunately. He's still 13th, so he's not dropped too much ground. Spencer Ez is now off. And where's Andy Marston? Whoa, he was way ahead of him there. Something has definitely gone wrong for Spencer Ez there. Has he gone straight on ahead of these guys? Oh, no, sorry. He was. No,
there.
We literally did just watch him overtake him. Sorry, I got confused there. But, Amrit got very lucky there. Flipping it. Good avoidance, though, to be fair. It wasn't just luck. He kept the car to the inside.
Amrit Sashdev had a few of those tonight, but he's had a few near misses with other drivers spinning off ahead of him, but carries on and up to 11. Luke Holroyd up into the podium positions now. He's dispatched with Danny Jones, so now starting to show that pace that we thought he would have. And actually, although it was that unforced error in race 1, dropped him down the order a little bit, this is much more like it.
Yeah, definitely. Solid driving by Luke Holroyd, proving why he is so high up the order in the championship. Well, I'll say so high up. He's at the top of the championship. Roger Bailey in the chat saying supporting Carl Hazelton. I'm afraid Carl had a incident early on, and he's a minute off the race lead now, unfortunately. But he's still going. He's 18th at the moment. That's the thing with Carl. He doesn't give up. He just cracks on with it. Andrew Marston now down to 11th as Amrit Sashdev goes through. But we revisit our leader, who's now got a 6.1 second lead here, Peter.
You can actually see, speaking of Carl Hazelton, you can just see him there, last driver on the lead lap. So despite the issues, being able to keep it there and run it clean. And actually, that car is looking very clean because I guess he's been in for his fast repair, which has got him nice and clean, which when you're a dealer principal, you've got unlimited fast repairs, I guess. You just put it in the workshop and get on with it, lads. What are you going to do?
Yeah, that's it. That's very true. Very true.
Oh, Mr. Hazelton, you've curbed the wheel, have I? Not that I can see.
Make me forget that I have.
I think there was that vlogger who borrowed it on Tuesday that did that.
Oh no, don't.
That's a joke. That's a joke.
That Taycan had the carbon air blade things on it. Oh my god, I was so scared of going near anything with that. As much as I seemed relaxed and calm in that video, I was so scared of going anywhere near anything in that thing. But, you know, I treated it with love and affection, and always will. Still grateful for that. To be fair, it was great to see Carl's race car as well. I really underdid how exciting that was to see his race car. I don't even think I mentioned it in the video, unfortunately, but I didn't get much footage of it. But it was so cool to see that livery on a real car in person. It was awesome. Really awesome.
You let one go in the car. Come on, be honest.
I didn't actually. I was quite surprised because my diet is terrible. But no, I'm quite surprised. I reserved.
The window doesn't count.
No, I behaved myself. I thoroughly did. It was my brother that you want to worry about. He was the one blasting all the tunes out really loud. But yeah, there's a part of the video where you see that Jared Coleman's had enough. He's just had another off, and unfortunately the car is very, very second hand now. Minute and a half to go though, Peter. Luke Holroyd quite a while behind João Estevez, and he's actually got Danny Jones back with him again here.
That he has, yeah. Danny's really got going in the Haribo Brumos switcheroo livery. Let's see what the straight line speed is like. Well, 160 miles an hour into Knickerbrook. Okay. That's pushing on.
It is. Oh, and that's pushing off.
Oh.
Spencer Ez doing a bit of rally crossing. It'll need some detailing after that.
Biting a divot.
It's probably because it says Silverstone on it and he's at Oulton Park. some sort of rivalry thing.
It's like, have that.
Yeah, the circuit bites back. Either way, he continues. 13th place. This is Gilles Gardner and Julien Noiset, who've
He'll
both...
clean it up later.
They've both had big offs down the avenue towards Cascades tonight, these pair, and in this race as well, actually. It's Tom Slater. Hello. Fastest lap of the race by a couple of thousandths over Danny Jones. So Danny Jones is on rapid pace at the moment, half a second quicker than Luke Holroyd ahead of him on that previous lap. So Danny Jones, a man on a mission here, Peter, as we're on the final lap.
And Danny Jones needs these points. He does have an outside chance of the championship, so this is really important. He knows Luke Holroyd's the guy with the target on his back as they come into Shell Oils, and Luke makes sure they shut the door early, but that might compromise his exit slightly. Nope, not a bit of it. Gets on the power nice and early. Really impressive, that as well. In fact, actually backed Danny Jones up a little bit and got in the power that bit earlier. That's really clever racecraft.
Yeah, that was nice stuff, and it's those little moments that you need in a race like this and in a championship like this. Luke's doing a mega job. I'm pretty sure, I mean, I imagine you've done the maths better than I have, Peter, but could he win it after this one?
Oh, good question. You put me on the spot there.
I don't think he can.
No, I don't think so, especially with Slater winning in race 1.
Yes, that's very true. But winning in race 2 is Andrew Shepherd. What a drive that was. He started third on the grid, got the job done early on, and takes the win. In round 14 of the championship, João Estevez gets a big haul of points for second place. And Luke Holroyd, impressive as ever, holds on to third ahead of Danny Jones, Tom Slater. Great drive. Paul Stout gains 11 places to finish 6th. He's just ahead of Oliver Carwadine, with Andrew Soper behind. Then Heinz Meyer is going to round out the 9th position machine. That's not a very good sentence, is it? The Crockery Direct machine round the final corner, 222. And look at the gaps here. He is 15 seconds off the car ahead, and then 8 and a bit seconds back. Somehow, after a very lively race, still rounding out the top 10. Amrik Sashdev.
Very good stuff from Amrik. It's been an eventful day, but there's no dull races when Amrik's around. That you can guarantee. Coming in onto the subject of championship points, Luke Holroyd came into this meeting with a 30-point advantage over Danny Jones and 54-point advantage over Tom Slater. So actually, that incident on the last lap for Luke Holroyd in race 1, that might have actually been the difference in him clinching the title now, or having to wait another couple of weeks.
Yeah, I think it may just go down to the final round, because if you think about it, over 12 rounds, if they've got, 215 points for Slater, for Holroyd, I don't think that averages at 17.9 points per race. So really, I don't think you can get too many if you're Danny Jones right now. So I'd say Luke's close to doing it. Unfortunately, Porsche Sport, we do have a way of updating the championship points, but it's a lot of it had to be done manually to put them in, and a lot of the information is wrong and doesn't display correctly, I'm afraid. So I'll be utterly honest with you on that one. It won't work, I'm afraid. That's on me. You know, we get given so much information behind the scenes, but I just simply hadn't got the time beforehand when we were setting up to do it all manually and put it in there. So we will work on that in future, but yeah, I'm sorry. Here is Spencer Ayres, who had a very, very lively race of his own. He got the bit between his teeth early on and then had to try and fight as much as possible. Gilles Gardner had a big incident as well, going into the wall. Julien Noiset had an even bigger one in that one. I think it was David Patching that he was in there with. David Patching's had a rough night as well, hasn't he, with incidents?
Yeah, he has. It's been a tough meeting for Mr. DP Sauce himself.
Well, we're at that point of the evening where we'll quickly go over the results of the first 2 races here tonight in the Club Championship. And then we'll go for a break and we will get the Pro Class underway. Sorry, just checking something in the background there. Tom Slater took the win in the first race of the night ahead of Paul Goffin. Danny Jones was third, ahead of Amrik Sashdev, Oliver Carwadine, Luke Holroyd, Ryan Penny, Paul Stout, Heinz Meyer and Gilles Gardner. Andrew Soper was 11th ahead of Ralph Meyer, with Michael Rowe 13th, Spencer Ayres 14th, Carl Hazelton 15th. Then we had Jared Coleman, Mark Elvin and Gregory Butterworth, with Andrew Marston and João Estevez the last two on the lead lap. Peter Brill, Andrew Shepherd and David Patching were 1 lap down. Julien Noizet was 2 laps down. Peter, if you take it away with the results of the second race, please, mate.
With pleasure. Andrew Shepherd, your winner then by 8 seconds. An absolutely dominant performance over João Estevez, with Luke Holroyd, your championship leader, rounding out the podium. Danny Jones was 4th, followed by Tom Slater, your race 1 winner, with Paul Stout in 6th, followed by Ollie Carwadine, Andrew Soper, Heinz Meyer and Amrit Sashdev rounding out the top 10. Andy Marston was 11th, a great drive for Andy, just really unlucky with that incident at Knickerbrook early on, but a good drive from the 111, the Pink Pig as we know it. Ryan Penny was 12th, followed by Gilles Gardner, Julien Noizet, Peter Brill, Carl Hazelton, Spencer Ayres and Michael Rowe rounding out your top 18, with Paul Goffin, Mark Elvin, Jared Coleman, Gregory Butterworth, Ralph Mayer and David Patching rounding out our 24 car field.
Thank you very much, Peter. Wonderful stuff as ever. What we'll be doing now, everybody, is our usual, where we'll just be taking a quick break to go and get into the session for the Pro class. But we have 2 more races coming up for you from Oulton Park in the Porsche Club of Great Britain Sim Racing Championship. Do not go away. We will be back with you very, very soon. Hello again, everybody. Chaz Draycott here with Peter MacKay on Simracersworld TV for the Porsche Club of Great Britain Sim Racing Championship from Oulton Park. We're here for rounds 13 and 14. We are now into the two pro class races, but a bit of news from the club class, Peter. It's not all decided just yet, is it?
No, definitely not. Luke Holroyd goes into the season finale at Road Atlanta with a pretty decent advantage. He'll go in on 247 points versus Danny Jones in second, 219. So with 50 points available, he has a 28-point advantage. So looking pretty good for Luke Holroyd at the moment. Tom Slater is not quite out of it. He's 46 points back. So it would probably require a double victory and for Luke not to be there and for Danny Jones to have a nightmare. But Road Atlanta, not the sort of place you want to be going into defending a championship because it's a tough circuit.
Oh, it is, yeah. And all it takes is for one back marker or somebody that you're lapping, as we saw in those races, you know, all it takes is for one thing to just go slightly wrong, somebody to misjudge something, and the whole race and the whole night can be thrown into jeopardy. Now look at these pro guys here, absolutely launching it around all over the place. Matt Dorrington is back with us this evening. Great to see Matt back in the car and back in the series for this evening in the 166. He's only 78 thousandths off Jacob Tofts at the moment. Darren Vero right in the chat. Good evening, Chaz and Peter. He says, good to see you, mate. Good to see you indeed. I hope you're well. Now, we've got a lot of cars in the pits here, Peter, because they're doing drivers' briefings this evening. Gavin Halls has taken it upon himself to do those, I believe.
If you listen very carefully, you can hear all the drivers cowering in the corner going, yes, Mr. Halls, yes, sorry. Yeah, I'm sorry, promise I won't hit anyone, sorry.
You've got to love it.
Now, it just reminded me, Chris Byram, he says he would prefer to be likened to the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air rather than Chris Akabusi. So okay. Feel free to go full bore with the Fresh Prince puns. I was saying, well, let's hope nobody flip turns you upside down.
Yeah, let's hope not.
I hope he doesn't get involved in one little fight because his mum will get scared.
Yes, indeed, and then he'll have to move him with his auntie and uncle in Bel Air. But what are we? Honestly, oh God, you're going on Radio Le Mans. It's great, isn't it? It's great. To be fair play to you on that, mate. That's really good news, that is, and I'm really, really pleased for you. It's absolutely awesome opportunity, that, and I hope it goes well. I'll be in any possible comment sections trying to take the pure mick out of you where I am, you know, being the supportive friend that I am, as we all do. But
wouldn't expect any less.
Exactly, that's the one. I'll just keep saying what's a calculated move, because that alone I think is one of the best puns you've ever come out with. But
the Casio triangle.
Yeah. Oh, we actually have Chris Akabusi on the move.
Fresh Prince.
I only say Chris because his name's Chris. You see, that's part of the association there. But to be honest to him, you know, even though it's a livery that divides opinion, I think that's a phenomenal looking car. I think it's an absolutely phenomenal looking bit of kit. It's a work of art. It's like one of the old art cars that you used to see at Le Mans.
Tell you, it is not whack. That is for sure. As Fresh Prince would say.
Need DJ Jazzy Jeff, don't you?
Yeah.
To just pop in the commentary box.
He needs a teammate that we can call Jazz.
Jazzy Jeff. Oh, one thing I will mention actually, while I'm just briefly touching on art cars. Now, we've seen a lot of art cars at Le Mans. You know, Aston Martin have been involved in it, BMW have been involved with it, Porsche have done a lot of them as well. Don't you think that I can't remember which year it was that Flying Lizard did one. Oh, I'm trying to think now. It was the really multicoloured one. The very, very multicoloured one. I'm trying to remember what year it was now. I'm having a look. I can't find what year it was now to save me life because I'm an idiot. It was just covered, like absolutely covered. It was absolutely a stunning machine. But they basically did. I mean, they did a number of art cars. Did Flying Lizard, of course. They were almost known for it by the time they were when they were done doing them. But there was one particular car they did that race at Le Mans, and it just looked absolutely stunning. And it was wrapped overnight as well to do it. It wasn't like they'd planned it for a very, very long time. I just can't find it. 2007, I believe it was. So we're really going back.
It's coming back to me. The one was it a blue one?
It was like red and yellow on one side, and then teal and blue on the other. It had all sorts. Porsche Sport saying the 2009 car was a good one.
Uh-huh.
So I'm gonna have to have a look at that as well now. As the
Tell
car,
the standard Flying Lizard, that kind of grey and red colour that Pat Long and Jörg Bergmeister used to drive with is fantastic. I tell you what, the 996, or getting it. Well, I suppose it's Porsche Club Great Britain, so we can nerd out about model number. They were in a safe space. The 997.2 GT3 RSR. Oh my word, that is a proper looking race car. I mean the road version of it looked pretty good as well. In fact, while we're in the early stages of qualifying, I'll tell you a story about that one. For the Porsche Sport podcast, we had Jörg and Patrick on for a joint interview to take a wee trip down memory lane, because it got they did nearly 100 races together.
Wow.
One day Jörg says of course they all get a company car. As a Porsche factory driver, you get a company car, but one day Jörg says to Pat, he says, Patrick, well, actually no, I won't do the voice.
No.
he says we're Porsche factory drivers, and I think we should be driving GT3 RSs. And Patrick goes, oh yeah, great idea, Jörg. Yeah, see how that one goes down. Yeah, after you. I'm right behind you, pal. Yeah. So Jörg, off he goes, and makes his case to one of the guys on the main board.
Oh, heck.
And a couple months later, Patrick gets a phone call from Jörg saying, "Yep, they said yes, we're getting GT3 RSs for our company car." So he was absolutely successful in his campaign, and ever since the top Porsche factory drivers have had the best of gear ever since.
That's awesome. That is.
So thanks, Uncle Jörg, for that one.
Yeah. So they should, though. You know, they do a wonderful job, and representing the brand as well as they do. Epic stuff, and I am fully behind them.
In these stupid SUVs that everyone seems to be making.
I'm sorry, Porsche, but the Macan, what? Yeah, Carl, don't give me one of them.
Just any SUVs.
Oh, just
any SUV. Just get in the sea, please.
Yeah,
all of you.
I must admit, as much as this series and the community behind it and the entire Discord has thoroughly developed my love for Porsches. I just can't. There's something quite nice about the Cayenne because it's beefy. It's a little bit different to a lot of the other SUVs, but
fits in your home county, that's for sure.
Well, that's it. Yeah, everybody's got them here, but it's just the Macan is just It looks like when you see it on its own, it looks like it'll be a big beefy SUV, but then you see it and it's like the size of a Skoda Fabia, just a little bit taller. And it's just odd, very odd. Now, something that isn't odd is the fact that the 11th, 10th guys, Mark Baxter Jones and Johnny Elia, have had the most stunning cars this season. And they keep changing the colours of them week in, week out. And every single one of them, I love them. Absolutely love them. Especially Mark's tonight. That's a gorgeous blue. That's almost like the blue on my branding, actually. I quite like that.
My mic hasn't gone out. I've just got no response to that.
Well, it's on pole as well, so there you go. It's potent.
It clearly go faster stickers, obviously.
Yeah. That's the one. Look at the pace.
Do you think Chris Byram was born and raised in West Philadelphia?
We might have to interview him and ask him.
Did he spend most of his days in the playground?
I think so. He must have done to be driving a car that looks like that.
Shooting b-ball after the school.
Well, the couple of guys that are up to no good in the neighbourhood at the moment are Mark Baxter Jones, James Cummings and Mark Phillips, the top three, all flying. But of course, we are yet to see Jacob Tofts or Dan Bathy go out there. Oh, we've put him off. Oh no. Oh, he got one little fight with that barrier and his mum's got scared, I'm afraid. But we're sorry, Chris. Porsche Sports saying the Macan is a great car. You're more inclined to say that than I am, in fairness.
Well, I'm sure it is, but it's an SUV, so it automatically is terrible. It could be as fast as a Formula One car. It could be. I'm sure if you're gonna have an SUV, you might as well have a Macan or a Cayenne. I get that.
Yeah.
But I get that argument, but just don't buy an SUV because they're just wrong.
Unless you're gonna actually use it.
Well, who's gonna use one of these things? Really?
Well, that's what I mean.
Talk about
my dad gets really. Sorry, my dad gets really annoyed about it because he's got a Land Rover Defender 90, a 4.5 litre V8 straight piped Defender 90, left-hand drive. Everything's in kilometres because he got it in Dubai in 1987 when he lived there with my mum. And they brought it back over here, and the thing sounds ridiculous. You can imagine. It's a proper grunty, snorty thing. It does about 6 miles to a gallon, if at most. A lot of the time it does 6 gallons to a mile. But it's just great, and he gets so offended by people driving around in Range Rovers that have got these really high-profile tyres on that are just like normal road tyres that are never going to go off-road. He gets so angry about it. It's untrue. As there you go, look at that, head and shoulders above the rest. It's Gary Toll. Lovely lad.
He's rising up the leaderboard there. This is an interesting qualifying session. Dorrington sets heads fast, 120 fastest lap, 127.1. And of course, Jacob Toff's not qualifying because he's starting from the back.
Yes, indeed. And Dan Bathy doing similar. Mark Johnson hasn't put in a lap time yet. Maybe he's been on the Bombardier.
Maybe he's just been finishing his Bombardier, cracks his knuckles and think, right, let's just...
I was going to say, this was his 3rd lap and he must have got an incident point along the way or something because it's not been a clean one, so he's not going to get the job done here, I'm afraid.
Oh dear. Well, he can maybe follow in behind Jacob Toffs, possibly. Maybe. But coming back to the SUVs, I mean, really, the thing is that we're being told we need to be efficient, we need to be environmentally friendly. Well, the SUVs just go in the completely wrong direction. So all these manufacturers saying, "Oh, we're making a more green range of cars and blah blah blah," but you've got 5 different types of SUVs, and they're just heavy. They're terribly packaged. I mean, you mentioned like a Skoda Fabia. Skoda Fabia is one of the best packaged cars on sale. Because it's this tiny little small car, but you go into it and it's got loads of space because it's been packaged properly. SUVs are packaged terribly. You can tell I'm impartial on this issue.
Yeah, but you got to love it. It's like journalism. It's almost like car journalism for us. So,
Yeah.
I agree. I'll say that much. But Baxter Jones still up there in second place. There's a matter of thousands between a lot of these guys, though.
Oh, it's very close, yeah. 0.3% between the top 8. Incredible. Now, Porsche Sport, I don't know if Luke used to have a man bun. Luke is taking over the Porsche Sport account on our chat here on Simracersworld TV. He's saying, how are we going to bring all the beer for all the Porsche Sport staff at the barbecue without an SUV? An estate car.
Yes, no, I'm not going to recommend mine because it's broken at the moment.
Yeah.
Toss.
Panamera Sport Turismo. There you go.
Oh, Simon isn't well, so can't make it tonight, I'm afraid. No, what you want is the... Wait, did you say Taycan Cross Turismo? No, you said Panamera, didn't you?
Panamera Cross... Either or.
Yeah?
Panamera Sport Turismo or a Taycan. I'll tell you what, Taycan Cross Turismo will be cool.
Yeah. I'll go in the Taycan, you go in the Panamera. See who gets there first. To be fair, I'd run out of battery after about 100 yards, knowing me and them things. Zaruta, though, has gone fastest here, which is awesome. And this really does throw it up, because Jacob Toft and Dan Bathy have pit lane penalties, so it's not even like they're choosing to come through the order, because we have had drivers do that before. And understandably, some drivers taking offence to that, that fair play, the drivers are confident enough to make it through the field, but it is a bit of a kick in the teeth for the others, knowing that there's people that are that overly confident against you, isn't there? So there's been a lot less of that as that's gone on, but Tofts and Bathy having penalties for this round, so they will not be qualifying. But Zaruta, that's very impressive.
Very good indeed, yeah, from Christian Zaruta, 41 thousandths ahead of Gary Toll. It's a completely new look, front of the pack in qualifying at least. This is going to be very exciting, and I have to say, James Cummings, just give him the trophy for best livery of the season already. I mean, Hawaiian Tropic, and it is very, very, it's a very good replica as well, with the Dick Barber Racing just right in the exact spot. Big Dick, what a guy he was.
Oh, aye. He actually commented. He actually contacted me after the last round of James Cummings because I had the wrong spec map for him. So he's updated that and he sorted it out. And yeah, we worked together on making sure that was correct for the broadcast. This is your grid then. Christian Zaruta on pole from Gary Tall, Mark Baxter-Jones, Austin Greatorex, James Cummings, Matt Dorrington, Mark Phillips, Stephen Harpham, Johnny Elia, and Ben Simpson round out your top 10. Excuse me. We then have Carl Sharkey and Byron Crawford, car 12. P12 ahead of Stuart Clark, Chris Byram, Stephen Kershaw, Jacob Tofts, Dan Bathy and Mark Johnson. So Saruta from pole, we've seen him win, I think it was him that won a round of the championship earlier on in the season. Reckon he could do it again here? Or was it his teammate? Didn't he have a teammate that was that did it?
They both did. They both have.
Yes, they did actually, you're right, yeah.
They have indeed, yes. Well, this could go any which way, but watch for the dark horse Dorrington from 6th on the grid. Just watch out for him.
Yeah, you can see the car just in the shade there on the left, the black
menacing.
And green machine. Yeah, and I believe it's a Fury Simsport livery with Midas Simulations, of course. Mr. Dorrington being Midas Simulations himself. Or Mr.
He's probably thinking, I'm going to beat them all and make them think they need to buy even more equipment from me. You
can see him rubbing his hands together in the car.
Let me get more tow roll.
No, we're just waiting for Austin Greatorex, Ben Simpson.
Hurry up, Austin.
Just to get to the grid, although Jacob Tofts and Dan Bathy starting from the pits. Austin's there. There he is.
It's a long drive from Birmingham, to be fair.
It is. Now, Austin was meant to be racing in the Chaz Draycott Media European Touring Car Championship, but he's unfortunately not able to make the first 2 rounds. But he was very very generous and said, you know, if you want to, give the spot up to someone who can do the full season. But I want to see how Austin gets on in those cars. And to be fair, he's a paying customer, so so he's got the spot. Either way, Ben Simpson doesn't look like he's going to take to the grid, I'm afraid. We've got Tofts and Bathy in the pits. But round 13 in the Pro Class in the PCGB Sim Racing Championship from Oulton Park is underway. And look at these guys using the launch control, getting the car offline very quickly. Good start from Zaruta. Baxter-Jones alongside Gary Tall. Greatorex down the inside there, backs out of it, and Cummings can't go anywhere either, so he's neither coming nor going. And then we've got Johnny Elia down the inside of the boss man here, Peter, as they go down towards Cascades.
Yeah, we didn't mention that. Really good qualifying there from Mark Phillips, Bernie himself, and yeah, running right up the front of the field at the moment, following Steve Harpham in the Momo-mobile. And oh, what a move there from Dorrington, straight into Island Bend and into Shell Oils. Really, really nice stuff. Up to 5th place and on the back of Austin Greatorex.
Yeah, really opportunistic there. Just saw the opportunity and went for it. Best thing you can do, really. Sometimes the opportunity just comes about by someone else making a mistake, but he lined it up and just used all of his commitment into there. And speaking of commitment, we're going to see these guys going very quickly through Knickerbrook here, building up a lot of speed as they go up the crest over Clay Hill. Now look at this, Harpham right behind Cummings as they get onto the brakes on the way into Druids. Didn't look like Cummings was as confident as Harpham into there that time. We've got Mark Phillips right behind and then Johnny Elia behind as well. That's how close he is. Stephen Harpham looking down the inside of Cummings at the end of lap 1 into Lodge, as Peter said. Wonderful corner, especially when you get it right, because of that camber change. The circuit comes to you and then you go over a crest, and you know at that point, when you get to that crest, whether you've judged it right or not. At the end of lap 1 then, Christian Zaruta leads the way, much like anything in a Brawn livery did in 2009.
Indeed, yeah, this is very Rubens Barrichello / Jensen Button right now in the number 87 car. Christian Zaruta, very, very impressive start indeed, but watch out for Mark Baxter-Jones in 3rd as well in the 1110s mobile, in the IROC inspired livery. It just looks, I have to agree with you, Chaz, it looks absolutely superb. Interestingly, they're just starting to stretch a little bit of a gap now, just a couple of car lengths there from Austin Greatorex. Oh, Harpham, and oh dear, oh dear, oh dear. Oh, well, what have you done?
Oh, that's Jacob Tofts. Tofts is offs. Let's have a look what happened to Byram and Kershaw first. Oh, the tiniest of kisses there. And Byram goes around it to miss it, and then Tofts comes in. Oh, he's already off at that point. Oh, wow. Dan Bathy, fair play, and then Toft's in impatience and probably anger gets on it. Ben Simpson's now had an off at Knickerbrook. And Stephen Kershaw's gone off again as well, actually. Oh, right, they were involved. Oh, heck. Kershaw waits and waits and waits. Dan Bathy gets through despite the smoke there, because it's easy now with the updated smoke on iRacing. You cannot see a thing, so you have to take some risk going through it at all, don't you?
Yeah, it is the Dr. Dre video mode that they've decided to engage, which, it is like going into a smoky nightclub. You usually make as bad decisions as you would in one of those. Anyway, lap 3 here at Oulton Park. Not a great start for Mark Phillips. He's qualified a little bit higher, but dropped a couple of spots back as Carl Sharkey just pinches the brake under braking there at Shell Oils. And of course, these cars, no anti-lock braking system, so if you put in just that little bit too much braking force, you easily lock up a tyre, and you are a passenger at that point.
Yeah, you are. That's the thing, because you try and modulate the brake as much as you can, and it doesn't really seem to do anything. You come off the brake, and obviously the car isn't stopping as quickly, and then in a panic, you stamp on it again, and it locks up again. So you get a bit of a flustered moment on the brakes in these cars, and it really doesn't hand itself to you. Now, the top 5 has closed up even more here. Christian Zaruta has got Gary Toll and Mark Baxter-Jones right behind him. There's a tinier gap there of 0.6 of a second back to Austin Greatorex and Matt Dorrington, who are having a little fight amongst themselves. But look at this now, Gary Toll all over the back of Zaruta. Down the not quite straight here at Oulton Park, into the braking zone for Old Hall. Gary turns in a little bit earlier, but it's a late apex at Old Hall corner. Zaruta manages to sort it out, holds up Gary on the apex, and now he's looking for other options. Is he going to try and line it up down to Island Bend, Peter?
Well, it would be a very bold call, and of course you would have to be hanging it around the outside at Island Bend, because then that would give you the inside for Shell Oils, and it's a lot to try and coordinate there as well. And you can tell that Zaruta sees that, so he can just cover the inside line and actually not lose really a great deal of time. But now, as they wind up the power, opening up all those 485 horsepower from those flat 6 engines, you can see Zaruta trying to break the draft a little bit. Look at that, weaving around on the straight to try and break the slipstream that Gary Toll will be enjoying. In fact, they're all doing that as well. Mark Baxter-Jones doing exactly the same thing to try and thwart the progress of Austin Greatorex, but Zaruta's made a little bit of a mistake, and tell you what, that has really checked up the field altogether.
Yeah, this is a great fight between these top 5, and they've got 2 seconds over Stephen Harpham in 6th as well, so at the moment they needn't worry about fighting too much, because they're not going to find themselves in the clutches of anybody else. Onto the brakes, into Lodge. Oh, Zaruta's got the back end out. Gary Toll goes down the inside, has to get on the brakes to avoid it, and Gary Toll goes to the front of the field, or does he? He's actually on the outside there, but now he's going to be on the inside for Old Hall corner. Zaruta moves over to cover it. Look at Austin Greatorex now having a go at Baxter-Jones. Is he going to make it work around the outside? That's awesome commitment from him. He moves over a little bit. Careful, boys. Down the avenue to Cascades. Well, even my voice didn't want to get caught up in that then, but now Dorrington's in the box seat because he's got all this going on in front of him. They're just holding themselves up and backing up to him here, Peter.
Yeah, look at that. Matt Dorrington just letting Austin doing the majority of the hard work here. You saw Matt pull out the throttle very, very early on there, not wanting to get involved in a tangle and just having to pick his moment quite carefully here. Of course, Dorrington missed quite a few rounds, so isn't a contender for the championship, so it's all about just race wins for Matt. So this is fascinating as well. And look at, is Austin going to have a go there into Knickerbrook? No, I thought about it, but tell you what, we actually had a fun race at the Nürburgring at the Nordschleife a few weeks ago in the Cayman GT4, and Austin and Mark Baxter-Jones had a right old ding dong out front. It was Austin did come out on top, but maybe MBJ is wanting to settle the score today. And here he goes.
Austin looks down the inside. Mark Baxter-Jones only gives him the minimum amount of room needed to get a Porsche Cup car down the inside. Dorrington wants a piece of this now. A little bit of door banging as they go back up the elite. And look at that, Baxter-Jones still in front now. Dorrington's trying to go around the outside of Austin. He's like, I saw you try this before, mate. This is how it's done. Watch this. Get rid of the overlap by the time you're done at the Avenue. Before Cascades, lovely stuff by Matt Dorrington. That is why He is so renowned for being quick and very, very talented in this championship. Porsche Sport says, quiz, when the Oulton track is made shorter, what's it called? I don't think we should answer that because we definitely both know it.
Oh, you'll need to tell me. I've forgotten, actually.
There's a lager brand that shares the same name.
Tenants? Carling?
Imagine that. Today we're at Oulton Park and the Carling layout. I suppose Carling Motorsport is, right?
Carling, it's not... I don't know.
Darren Vera Wright's got it right in the chat, ironically by name. Foster's layout.
Oh, you wouldn't want to warn me, would you?
No, definitely not. Now, look at this train going on here. Now, this goes all the way down to 8th place now. Johnny Elia is on the back of this, so he gets a fantastic view in front of all these cars fighting. Ahead of him, we've got James Cummings, Stephen Harper, Austin Greatorex, Mark Baxter-Jones, then Matt Dorrington, and then nearly a second to Gary Tall, who is all over the back of Christian Zaruta for the lead. This is truly kicking off again, Peter, but nice and clean so far, touch wood.
Yep, so far so good here in the Pro Class, and actually more overtaking actually we've seen than in the Club Class earlier on, which is not normally, it's the other way around. So it's good to see the Pro guys getting their elbows just slightly out, not fully out, but slightly out. It's nice to see. As well, but still Christian Zaruta. I tell you what, Zaruta, that moment he had coming out of Lodge into the elite, my word, he really could have easily ended up in the barrier there, but hung on to it, somehow kept Gary Tall behind. And just look at Matt Dorrington, made short work of Mark Baxter-Jones, and Dorrington now looking very menacing, and we're just going up to half race distance, so he's got time in hand to make this move.
He does indeed. He's going to get a lot of slipstream here, but they're all so good at getting a run out of the Shell Oils hairpin. Very tall, just putting the car in the middle of the road, and that's the perfect thing to do there. In the MX-5 race I did, obviously everyone knows how much them things are prone to slipstreaming and so on. I was always defending the inside, but then compromising my line through the right-hander, and then when I was trying to go around the outside, I could carry more speed, and that was actually a better way of defending it. But you just can't take the risk. As right now, Johnny Elia and Kyle Sharkey having a really good scrap. These two have swapped places twice in the last couple of corners. As up ahead, Gary Tall and Matt Dorrington side by side for second place. Zaruta's out of shape. Dorrington could go for the lead here. Zaruta hugs the wall on the right-hand side. Dorrington comes back across in the middle of three wide. A little bit of contact. Gary Tall manages to get away with it. Oh, it's broken something. Gary Tall's gone straight on. Oh, that's such a shame for Gary. Such a shame. We'll have to catch up with him in a moment because this still goes on. The show goes on without him. But that tiny touch, I can't believe that would have broken something, but you never know, do you?
Well, it was a kind of sandwich effect, and it could have actually been quite a big one, but that's enough. Not often you see that. Bombardier!
Oh, whoa, Gary Tall.
Poor old Gary Tall. He's thinking, leave me alone.
Oh, he's having a nightmare.
Word. Oh, Mark Johnson, park it up and pour yourself a tepid pint of Bombardier.
Oh,
I actually think he just couldn't get the car slowed down, maybe.
I think that might be a wheel failure, you know? Because look, as soon as he gets the touch there, watch. It sort of wobbles back and forth a bit.
I don't. I think he got on the grass and actually could get the car to brake in time, and well, we'll find out, but I think that was maybe just driver error, actually. Obviously instigated by contact as well. Yeah.
Intriguing. Because I've seen them even with the force feedback they have, you know, the centering spring, they wobble one way then the other, but you're right, it did seem a little bit inconsistent in that way. It did still move around a bit more, and potentially just wasn't putting much lock on because he didn't want to spin the car. Johnny Elia's around, speaking of spinning the car, but we need to go back to this because Dorrington all over the back of Zaruta, around the outside of him. Fantastic stuff. Little bit of a door bang on the way out there, but there wasn't quite the room on the exit. He's down the inside for Cascades now. Lovely stuff. And can Baxter-Jones make the most of this as well and run through? He doesn't, but he's had to get out of it. And now Austin Greatorex is all over the inside of him. James Cummings is going to have a fantastic view of this as they go through Island Bend. Greatorex gets out of it. But wow, Mark Baxter-Jones nearly runs wide. We ride on board with James Cummings now. Somehow keeping Austin Greatorex at bay. But Matt Dorrington, finally, I think it's worth saying, to the front. He's looked potent all race long and all season long when he's been with us. Great stuff once again from Matt.
And of course, what do Christian Zeruta and Matt Dorrington have in common? They're both Caterham men. They're both Caterham racers.
Ah, right. I did not know that.
Oh, that's a tough one there. Well held from Austin Greatorex. He didn't panic, and just a little bit of a hip check there from Mark Baxter-Jones, and Mark was not blinking, and Austin was just hung out to dry there.
Yeah, that was such tough stuff. Like you say, that was a tough one indeed. And unfortunately, really hung out to dry by quite the distance. Mark Bow in the chat. Hey, boys, watching from Lorient tonight. Much more relaxing than watching and driving, I imagine. And hopefully Mrs. Bow is watching as well. So hello, Mrs. Bow, if you are watching again this evening. She's been a fan of the series for a very long time, and we are very grateful to have her attendance on stream this evening. James Cummings is fourth here, wishing that he didn't have any attendance from Stephen Harpen right behind him, because he's certainly piling the pressure on here. Good scrap between the pair of them. Gary Tall was right with Stuart Clark, and he's now right behind them as well. Just can't get it done yet, though, can he?
What this does mean, though, for Gary Tall is, and it is the consolation, I suppose, is that you will have a decent grid spot for the reverse grid.
Yes.
So it's not all lost, although he does have, the moment he has Jacob Toft a few places behind, so Jacob would start ahead of him. So that's not so good, but you know, it's always not lost. Coming back to James Cummings in the Hawaiian Tropic machine, do you think he lathers the car up in Hawaiian Tropic sunblock or fake tan or whatever it is, and so that he can sort of just slip through on other drivers?
It's looking a bit sunburnt at the moment, though. Maybe he's not using enough, to be fair. But
difficult to hang on to the steering wheel. That's where Alcantara's quite good.
Yes, it is. It is, although you feel guilty when it starts to get worn down and you want to clean it and restore it. It's a pain in the backside.
I had Alcantara on my RS3 on the wheel, and actually your hands start to itch after a while.
Yeah, I actually even got that on my sim racing wheel as well. I found that without gloves, it really did, it sort of got in your hands like it was a fibre, and it really felt horrible. You know when you get insulation, if you go up in the loft and you get that in your hands, it's just, yeah. I can feel it now. My hands are going all funny. But yeah, after using Alcantara for a while on the sim racing wheel, when it starts to get worn, you just feel really guilty using it because you don't want to make it worse. It's a horrible feeling. And what is a horrible feeling right now for Christian Zeruta is the fact that he's got Mark Baxter-Jones all over the back of him. But he's doing a good job holding on. It's been a very impressive meeting from Zeruta so far, hasn't it? Because, no offence to the guy, but usually we see him benefiting from the reverse grid races, but first time out on pure pace. This is on merit right now. This is great.
Yeah, 100% done it in qualifying and in race 1, and who knows what he can do in race 2. I mean, he's clearly got some good pace. Now look at this, Harpham going up the inside of Cummings, and Cummings is going to have to give best, otherwise he'll end up in the grass like Austin Greatorex did, and actually tried to tough it out, backed out at the last minute, and that's given Austin Greatorex the run here in the 13 Porsche Sport car. Up they go then towards Druids, and really then you're back into this one line again, but you do have a last sort of lunge at Lodge Corner. They should call it Lunge Corner, actually. Just ask Gordon Shedden and Matt Neal.
I was just about to say, is it not going to be called Matt Neal Corner? Yeah, that was controversial beyond controversy, that moment, wasn't it? Now, Baxter-Jones again, round the outside. He's like, watch this, I've seen Matt Dorrington do this. Oh, not quite to the same effect. Christian Zeruta says, yeah, try again, mate. I've seen that before. I've got the bent in front left arch to prove it. But fantastic defending from him so far. It's shown that not only does Zeruta have pace, but he also has the capability to hold drivers off as well. Dan Bathy's just had a moment and lost time to Johnny Elia. They've got Jacob Tofts behind. It seems very strange seeing these guys 12th, 13th and 14th, doesn't it?
Very unusual. I'm not used to it yet. I have to be honest. I actually thought that Jacob Tofts might have made a bit more forward progress than this, given his pace all season.
Yeah, especially how we've seen him move forward in the second race of the night as well with the reverse grid. But wow, late on the brakes. That was unbelievable. It's just the way that he does that, so casually. He can just get on the brakes so much later than people, and he just knows how to control this car so well. But I think maybe because the race was a bit later in its life and the field hadn't spread out too much, that's why he hasn't made the progress. We've had Mark Phillips off the road. He's just come back on. He's nearly blindsided Byron Crawford. Let's see what happened here to Bernie. Maybe just a little bit too hot into Knickerbrook. Yeah. A little bit of a moment, and then Byron's going to say, "Oh, look, a freebie." And Mark's going to go, "No, not in your life, son." Good avoidance, though, by Byron to sort of stay out of it. He didn't push and force the issue too much there, did he?
Yeah, and I think he might have seen the number 17 car with its very distinctive livery, thinking, oh, that's the Bernie mobile. I think we'll maybe just back out of this one. Don't want to feel the wrath of Bernie's well-oiled cane.
Well, that's it. The cane is well oiled, especially this season as well. He's had a bit of work to do.
He did. You might not have seen it yet, Chaz, but he's actually, before getting in the car, has firmly agreed with our opinion of SUVs in the most strongly worded terms. So strong that we couldn't repeat his opinion of SUVs and love of estate cars on the broadcast because, well, the North Koreans have come after us again.
Yes, I would use the soundboard and explain that he said that they were absolutely... No? Oh, hang on. There you go, it finally beeped. Sorry, my PC took a moment to look for that then, and in doing so, we just lost some frames on the broadcast. So, well done, Ryzen CPU. I'm very proud of you. Anyway, this is a nice little battle here. Jacob Toffs is now at the front of, ahead of Dan Bathy and Johnny Elia. And to be honest, I'm expecting Jacob to run away here. But what he needs to be conscious of is what you mentioned there with Gary Tall, Peter. It's the fact that every position he gains is a position further down the grid in the second race.
Yes, exactly. But I think it's for Jacob, he's such a confident driver. I think for him, he's just wanting to get through as far forward as he can, score the points. Of course, he's leading the championship. The further forward he can get, the more points he's got in the bag as we go on to the last lap. But I'm surprised, given that he's got the number 116 on the car, that he hasn't been given about 96% of the camera time, even though he's not in the top 10.
That's very true, yeah. It's good for any sponsors, of course.
Yeah.
Now we need to go back forward again because as much as I'm not sure Richard Branson's watching, but Christian Cerruta is doing his logo some justice at the moment in second place. He's then got Mark Baxter Jones behind, then Stephen Harper, and then James Cummings, and then Austin Greatorex. This is actually becoming a 5-car train, although we're on to the final lap of the race, and this man has absolutely checked out.
He has unleashed the fury.
He has. Really has. So if you want to be as quick as Mac, make sure you check out Midas Simulations. No, it's not all down to the equipment. I've been down that rabbit hole before, to be fair. But either way, it's been the sort of performance that we'd expect from Matt Dorrington. And he's done a really good job to get to the front and stay there and open up that gap. So out of Lodge for the final time, up through Dearly. Matt Dorrington in the 166 car takes the win at Oulton Park in round 13. Christian Cerruta, what a drive to hold on to second ahead of Mark Baxter Jones, gets a podium ahead of Harp and Cummings, Greatorex, Carl Sharkey, car 77, P7, and Mark Phillips holds on to 8th place, Peter.
Good drive there from Mark Phillips, top 10 in the pro class. They did not give those away for free. Good stuff. Jacob Toss eventually up to 12th place as well. So he'll sort of start mid-pack then for the feature race. I wonder if Dorrington will be able to get through early and hang on to the back of him. And then we might have a duel that we've been waiting for all season.
Yes, indeed. I'd say that we're well on our way to a battle of that capacity. But hopefully it comes sooner rather than later. We've still got a couple of cars still circulating, actually. Ben Simpson is just about to cross the line. He had a rough ride after the incident early on. He's going to get that car stopped pretty sharpish, I imagine, and go back to the pits. And then we've got Mark Johnson in the Bombardier car about to cross the line as well. Mark's had a very up and down season, hasn't he? We've seen him get some great finishes, really consistent results in the mid-pack at least. Taking a haul of points, but then he's been in some crazy incidents, hasn't he, this time around?
Yeah, it's certainly been a bruising day for the Bombardier. That's for sure. But fair play to keep going. Get a tow back to the pits, get your fast repair, and carry on.
Yeah, it's good consistency. Well, not even that, just determination. You know, the belief to carry on. You never give up in these races. Matt Dorrington takes the win then, 2.8 seconds ahead of Christian Cerruta, with Mark Baxter Jones finishing third, Stephen Harper in fourth place with James Cummings in fifth. We then have Austin Greatorex ahead of Carl Sharkey, Mark Phillips in eighth, Byron Crawford ninth, And Gary Tall in 10th. Look at that as well. The top 9 only covered by 10 seconds. That's very impressive. Stuart Clark is 11th. Jacob Tofts eventually comes home in 12th place. Dan Bathy was 13th ahead of Johnny Elia. Stephen Kershaw with Chris Byram and Ben Simpson behind. Mark Johnson, the last of you, finishes in 18th place. And now it's very, very quiet. Very quiet. Look at that. Just Bernie on his own in the pit lane. He's probably scared everybody else off, hasn't he?
Quite possibly. It's like when the headmaster comes into the classroom, you just hide.
Now, you can see here, actually, from this view, I'm just going to point this out very, very quickly. If you look at the end of the pit lane, the end which Mark Phillips' car is pointing to, you can see the building with the arched roof. I tell you what, that makes it much better. Thank you, Ben. The building that Ben's just driven past there is actually the commentary box with that arched roof. Now, someone, don't know who, but you'll notice there's another building just to the left of that there. I think we might be able to get it on this camera. No, not that one. That one. Whatever that building is there, that monstrosity is perfectly placed between you, the commentator, in the commentary box, and the apex and most of turn 1. And it bothers me every time I even jump in the sim just to look at Oulton Park. Because as much as, you know, I'm a bit gutted as I always say I haven't commentated at Oulton Park. I commentated on 2 races at Oulton when the Junior Saloon Car Championship was there as a one-off when I was just ghosting other, shadowing other commentators just to learn the craft, see how it was. I've not properly commentated there since, even though it's 9 miles down the road from me. But that building just stops me going back. Just because you can't see anything. It's possibly the most important corner on the circuit because you all know how much goes on there. But it's so annoying that someone thought that was a good idea. What do you reckon?
Wouldn't get that in the Gary Stagg commentary tower at Knockhill.
Ah.
Perfect 360 view. You're up nice and high. The Tower of Power. Yeah,
yes.
Good. It's had its spring clean. Ready for action. David Leslie Trophy in 2 weeks' time. So, yeah, it's gonna be very good. I like how we both had our own separate soapbox moments tonight. Me about SUVs, you about the Oulton Park commentary box.
Yeah. To be fair, though, I've never seen so many flies in my life as I did in that Oulton Park commentary box.
Yeah, what is it about flies in commentary boxes? It's weird.
I don't know. It's like there's one way in and then no way out. It's very odd because there was, even though we were commentating just over the PA for the day when I did it that time, I was with Clive Woodward as well, and he called me a novice that day, and it still upsets me. But
Clive Woodward, the former English rugby coach.
I don't know if it's the same bloke. But
the same name.
Yeah, just same name. He's actually an actor, I believe. Is Clive Woodward? It might not be Woodward, but yeah. But yeah, he called me a novice, and it still bothers me. Now, I don't know what it was, but they had one of those bug zapper things that you get in a restaurant with the big blue light on it. But every so often you just get this sort of noise in the background while you were commentating, and it made me jump every single time because it was unbelievably loud. So you'd be commentating and you'd sort of stutter over yourself when this thing went off. And it was, even though it was October, it was a red hot day. So it was very humid and full of tiny flies everywhere. It was a really annoying little fruit flies. But I'm going to Mallory Park on Saturday, which I've never been to. And I don't know what to expect from Mallory, really. It's like an oval with a bit of a tumour on the side of it. But I'm thoroughly looking forward to it because good old Chaz gets to commentate on one of the most exciting things he's ever seen, MSA British Supercarts. And that excites me greatly.
We've got our first piece of salinity in the YouTube chat, Chaz. Colin Wynn has said, great drive, Mark Baxter Jones. Austin Greatorex replies, yeah, great drive when he punched you off the track. Ouch.
Oh, heck. Oh.
Don't know if that was exactly what happened.
Oh, Lord.
Oh, dear.
Oh, dear. I don't like drama. I just get scared of it. So all I do is just defend people as a commentator, then run off. Stephen Kershaw's just checking the barriers are still in one piece at the final corner. And Byron Crawford crosses the line 5th in the warm-up session at the moment, which is just about to finish. Ready? 3, 2, 1. Boop! Damn it! I never get that right. Here we go. There you go. Ugh. One day I'll get that right. Anyway, our final race of the night. Peter, do you want to do the grid, mate?
Oh, that's very kind. I feel honoured. Mark Johnson, the Bombardier, on pole position alongside Ben Simpson. Chris Byram, the Fresh Prince himself, alongside Stephen Kershaw on row 2. Johnny Elia and Dan Barthy start from the 3rd row, with championship leader Jacob Toffs starting 7th alongside Stuart Clark in 8th. Gary Tall and Byron Crawford round out the top 10, with Mark Bernie Phillips and Carl Sharkey, all organisers, row 6. Row 7 is Austin Greatorex and James Cummings, with Stephen Harpham, Mark Baxter-Jones, Christian Saruta, and race 1 winner Matt Dorrington starting at the back of this 18-car grid.
Lovely stuff. Thank you very much, Peter. Another interesting race ahead of us here. We've got the Fresh Prince on row 2. Anyone take your fancy for this one?
Oh, you put me on the spot, Chaz. Oh, I mean, Tofts.
Jacob Tofts. Very interesting. Very interesting indeed.
Going to be more difficult from the pit lane, though.
That's very true, yes. He is in the pits. So is Ben Simpson. So let's see what he can do from there, then. Mark Johnston, Bombardier off the line. Fresh Prince goes with him. Chris Byram in second place. Look at that in the background. Austin Greatorex looking down the inside instantly of Byron Crawford. Turns out into the outside. Wonderful move. Oh, there's a big off at the front. There's a huge pile-up. Zaruta's gone headfirst into it. We've got a car over at the side. Stephen Kershaw's had a big spin. Baxter Jones is in that. Jacob Toft's actually starting from the pit lane. Has managed to bag a few freebies out of that. Mark Bernie Phillips is involved in that. Oh, wow. Oh, wow, oh, wow, oh, wow. Byron Crawford's gained 7 places already. Stephen Harpham's gained 9.
Oh, wow. And, of course, remember, Stephen Harpham was one of the leading group in race 1. So, great start for the Momo man. Now...
Oh, the front two collided.
Bombardier tries to go around the outside of the Fresh Prince, and it sets off Armageddon behind.
Lots of massive hits. What's Tofts, ready? There he is. Thank you, boys. And
that was a bit of foresight starting from the pit.
Yeah, indeed. So it looks like, although Johnny Elia went off track before this, so what happened? So the front two, if we look at Chris Byram, if I can get there quickly enough, down the inside, but he loses the back end on the grass, hits the back end of Mark Johnson's car. Johnny Elia apparently was off the circuit at this point, but I think he just did it to avoid them. Stephen Kershaw has actually lost it on his own there on the right, gone into Chris Byram. Who was that on the right? Stuart Clark, great avoidance. Look at that, he's all the way over there. Greatorex goes into it. Look at Saruta. At the end of the day, he's not going to see anything, so he's just on the way in. Lets it roll. Bernie hits the back of Greatorex. Zaruta absolutely smacks into Chris Byram. Kershaw gets a smack off Cummings. And then look at that. Baxter Jones gets nailed by Ben Simpson on his way out of the pits as well. And then Jacob Tofts just gets to go, oh, okay, boys, bit nice car park. See you in a bit. Wow. Hopefully that picture painted the picture properly for everybody there. But Johnny Elia leads this race.
Yeah, he got past unscathed just. So this is big for Mr. Transit Van himself, Johnny Elia. Really good start and really good avoidance there, because getting onto he managed to avoid it, but avoiding on the grass, you've got to be very, very careful not to have your own spin, and did the job very well there. But he has former race winner Byron Crawford all over the back of him there, and not too far behind Stuart Clark in 3rd, and Caravan Carl Sharkey in 4th.
It's a nice little order at the moment that could still go any way. Like, no offence to any of the drivers at the front of it, but we've seen such contrasting pace by all of these drivers this season. I really couldn't pick a winner out of any of these, because they're all just as consistent as each other on the day, aren't they?
Yes, they are. The thing which I think might play a big factor in the outcome of this race is what damage each driver has, because there is a large number of the field. I mean, look at the state of Austin Greatorex's car. That's not 100% at all. He's got damage on the rear. I'm very surprised he's got a bit on the front. Yeah, tiny bit, but not as bad as it could have been, given he went straight into the side of somebody. So that each car has all got bits and pieces of damage on it, but of course Johnny Elia doesn't, because we saw that he made it through clear, so that could play a factor, and we'll see how that plays out over the course of the race. Did Matt Dorrington get any damage? I don't know where he was in all of that. He's up to 13, so he's moved up 5 spots, but did he get through clean?
It looks okay, yeah. Maybe just waited for it.
For him.
Yeah, maybe just got away with it, maybe just waited behind the incident. Now, Colin Wynn made a good point. He said there's not many in the pits concerning the lap 1 rule, but Yeah, we'll have to...
who would you say is it?
Yeah, well, to be fair, Chris Byram is the man that spun originally. Stephen Kershaw spun as well, and those two are right down the back of the order, so I suppose they've had just desserts from it. Stephen Kershaw's actually at the front of this train as well, so he needs to... Oh, we've got a car around. It's Johnny Ely, and Kershaw's nailed him. Kershaw's nailed him. Greater X is involved. Ely is still in the middle of the road, and look at that. Who's that coming through the middle? Toft. Ely gets out of the way. Nicely done. Oh, my goodness me.
Oh, Johnny. Oh, Johnny. Oh, it's so unlucky that it's so easy to crash there at Druids. You just carry a touch too much speed and round you go, and it just stops in the most... I mean, it covers literally the whole road, and absolutely nothing any of those drivers could do.
And then you can see them all trying to get back on in the background as well. That was to be fair, he did the right thing there and nailed it out of the way. We've still got this train of battered Porsches making their way around one of the most difficult circuits in the UK when you've got a clean car, never mind a damaged one. And, Peter, we're only a quarter of the way through the race.
Yeah, indeed. And look at this. We've got a Porsche Sport Triumvirate on the go here. Greater X.
Oh, I like that word.
Sorry, led by Carl Sharkey, actually. Then Tofts, then Austin Greater X. So, this will be interesting to see how it pans out from here. Byron Crawford, he has gone. And he must have... Now, what had Byron Crawford already got past Johnny Ely at that point, or did he manage to swoop by?
I think he just gave Johnny a little bit of a tap when he lost it, you know.
Oh.
And that was all he got. Because Johnny had already lost it, let's face it. Like, let's...
Oh, good.
Sorry about that.
That's a crash.
Yeah. So we'll go a little bit further back from it. You'll see this now. I don't know whether he helped him into it, but there was definitely contact once Johnny was already sideways. So we'll see. This will be either the damning evidence or the clearing evidence for Byron Crawford. Yeah, look, Johnny's already gone in way too hot. Hits the curb, the car is around, and then there's just a kiss.
Clearing evidence.
Yeah, it's, well. But yeah, Byron Crawford, he's not in anyone else's line of sight, is he? Hey.
Yeah. It's,
that was a loose one.
Plan right now, but, and it's a big but.
Yeah, I know I've got one. All right, rub it in.
Yeah, and me. Jacob Toft, clear air, managed to get past his teammate Carl Sharkey with ease there. Now I think Austin Greatrex is running seriously wounded because he's been freight trained there by Stuart Clark and Steve Harperman, the Momo car. So I think Austin Greatrex is battling a very wounded 911 right now.
Yeah, he's not got the... it's that rear end, isn't it? I mean, we know what these cars are like anyway. That is not going to feel good right now. One of my very favourite, as much as people aren't a fan of Jeremy Clarkson, I think one of my favourite little analogies that he's ever done, he said, driving said car is like trying to win the Grand National on a lion made out of jelly and teeth. And I think, to be fair, the back of Austin's car probably feels like that right now. I think he was talking about the Corvette ZR1, actually. So you can stuff your American engineering, because these things are wonderful German bits of kit that just get the job.
I will not have the name of Corvette sullied at any moment.
Oh, I forgot about how much of a Corvette fanboy you are. I'm sorry, Peter. I am sorry.
We'll work on it.
Anyway. But yeah, Jacob is absolutely flying, although we really must stay with this. Toft does the fastest lap of the race, 1:26.6, a second faster than Byron Crawford. Gary Tall is just in front of Dan Barthy. Stuart Clark.
Word, that's massive.
Goodbye, Stuart, I'm afraid. Back to the drawing board, quite literally. How is that car still moving?
Rear engine.
Yeah. You know what? That's the stupidest question. Oh, bye, Gary.
Bye.
That was the stupidest question I could have asked him about. Now, it intrigues me that people rally Porsches. It's amazing how many of them you see on the rally circuit. It's just amazing.
Do you know what the 911's first ever competitive event? The 1965 Monte Carlo Rally. Came fifth.
I imagine it was amazing on the tarmac, but it's just when you see them on gravel and mud, it's just like, it seems so out of place, but I imagine with all the weight being at the back, it swings the rear end out nicely, actually.
That's right. Yeah, it's because before Rally went four-wheel drive with the Audi Quattro, it was front or rear-wheel drive. So if you had the rear engine layout over the rear wheels, very, very handy indeed. In fact, Porsche were actually winning Monte Carlo rallies until 1978. as well, of course, and then won the Paris-Dakar with a 4x4 version of it, of the 911 SC in 1984 as well.
It's a hell of a potent combination, isn't it, really? And it's amazing that they got the success out of it, out of what, on paper, shouldn't really have worked out to be such a fantastic rally car, but that's just Porsche doing Porsche things. Now, this is... Dan Bathy is a bit of a Newton's cradle at the moment, bouncing between Austin Greatorex and Matt Dorrington. Although I suppose if I actually thought about that correctly, the Newton's cradle, the bit that moves, is actually not the bit in the middle, but the opposite. So shut up again, Chaz. He's all over the back of Austin Greatorex, though, and it must surely be the damage really hindering Austin here. I mean, Dan is not slow, but he's just not got the confidence on the way in, has he? I mean, look at it. It's a mess.
Yeah, and this is, you can see Austin's doing his best to defend, putting the car in the middle of the road and making Dan Bathy go around the long way. And this is going to be tight. There you go. Yeah.
Oh, no.
Takes Dorrington with him. Oh, my word, that's a big one.
Dorrington in the barrier. Greatorex still in the middle of the circuit. Oh, it was
not ideal when you get taken off at Knickerbrick, is it?
Oh
dear.
Yeah, Austin's going to be a bit fuming after that. But that was difficult. Let's have a look back at it. Nope, way too far, Chaz. So look where they are. Obviously, I hate playing replays in slow-mo because you can be like, oh, you should have reacted to that, but this is in slow-mo. So...
Austin gets the curb. Hits the curb.
Yeah.
And that just I think they maybe were just going to fit round there. Just. Maybe Bathy might have been on the grass on the exit, but watch the curb. Watch the inside front right wheel. There.
Yeah. Yeah, it does jump him up. I'm not sure whether there was enough room left by Dan Bathy, but you are right. It definitely chucks the front.
He was ahead, though. He nearly had the whole car ahead.
Yeah, it's very true. And as you say, that curb really did upset Austin's car on the inside and throw him into it. But it's a bit of a racing incident, really.
Absolutely, yeah, couldn't agree more. I think that was Austin was actually trying to help. He was trying to get some room on the inside, and that's a huge one there from Stephen Harper. That's a replay, sorry. Yes, I think he was trying to sort of tuck in and just caught the curb, and we've all hit that curb and had a plane crash, haven't we?
Oh yeah. It's the sort of corner where once you go off, you've got to pay to get back in. Well, there you go. There's Mark Johnson finding the end of that soft barrier. Now, I've not seen many people go into that. Actually, that's a lie. I once watched I think it was a VW Cup race, and a Scirocco went off at Knickerbrook. Ran very, very wide, and he just planted his foot with it being front-wheel drive, and it just went straight on, and it hit the end of that barrier and bounced back into the middle of the circuit. It was a scary old accident. Now, this is for the race lead here, Peter, and with 8 minutes to go, can Byron hold off Jacob? No offence to Byron, but I think we know the answer just because of how fast Jacob is.
I don't think anyone in the field could hold off Jacob Toft here. Don't forget, folks, he started from the pit lane in this race. Absolutely exceptional. Now, with the incident at race one, at turn one, that did have an obviously a strange effect, but nevertheless, starting from pit lane, and here he goes. And it looks like Byron Crawford's not going to fight it too hard, and that's really smart, actually. When you see the delta coming down and just allows it to go. And what he can do now, see, little mistake there from Toffs, and Byron Crawford's right back in the game, but Crawford now is in a super strong position to score a second place finish and bag a whole chunk of points. He's not in the battle with Jacob Toffs for the championship, so yeah, really smart driving there from Crawford, but he didn't roll over either, to be fair.
Oh yeah, he still gave it a good shout. He was 10th in the championship coming into this on exactly 100 points. He's not had bad going, really. Now, in terms of laps, one of the interesting stats we get from Bernie this season is how many laps the drivers have completed this season. There's only 3 drivers in the top 10 that have done every lap of the championship, and that's Austin Greatorex, Mark Baxter-Jones, and James Cummings. But just to prove how quick Matt Dorrington is, obviously he won the first race, he's barely done 57% of the laps this season, and he's in the top 10 in the championship. So it just begs the question that if we do get him for a full season, what can he do about winning the thing? because obviously Ryan Parkins, King Hippo, 2 championships to his name, but he's not here this season. And surely you've got to argue that, again, no disrespect to the other drivers, but that makes it open season for anybody else, because they were all so close, aside from Ryan last season.
Indeed, they were, but what I would add to that is that look how many drivers have stepped up to the top table as well.
Oh, yeah.
Look what we saw in race 1, just this meeting alone. A lot of drivers just improving all the time.
Yeah.
And yeah, there's look at this. Steve Harper going to have a go at Druids on Carl Sharkey. That'd be a big move. And I tell you what, Carl Sharkey, one of the best defensive drivers anywhere in the championship, in either class, pro or club. He just knows how to defend. And yeah, you got to really get up early to get a move on Carl. That's for sure. So yeah, it's an interesting one. I'm actually going to see King Hippo in a couple of weeks.
Oh yeah.
Going to his wedding, believe it or not.
Oh right, awesome.
Yes, yeah.
Oh, fair play.
So going a wee trip down to London town.
Oh nice. You'll have to pop into Porsche Centre Cheshire on the way through.
Yes, pick up a loan car. Yeah.
Yeah. Carl, are you listening?
Carl. So I'll park my Clio around the back. I promise.
Yeah, don't park it too far on the outskirts of Chester.
Clio.
Yeah, it's a good Clio.
Yeah, it's one of the hot hatches of the generation. Not my words, the words of Evo magazine.
You just sound like Jeremy Clarkson describing the Taycan. Not the Taycan, sorry, the Cayman. But yeah, on the other end of the scale, I've been while my BMW has been broken, I've been driving Beth's 1 litre Clio. She used to have the 1.2 turbo one that was 120 brake, and you know what? It was remarkably pokey. However, this one's a 75 brake horsepower car, and it's you put your foot down. You have to write out a letter before it goes anywhere. Carl's just put the word yes in chat, so there you go. I'm not sure what that implies, but you can have that conversation. Now, Jacob Toft has got less than 4 minutes of this race left to go, and he is currently doing what we know he can do best. He's 3 seconds clear of Byron Crawford now. Closest 2 cars on track are actually Matt Dorrington and Christian Saruta for 12th and 13th spot. Both of them very, very fast, and of course these were fighting for the race win in race 1.
They were, yes, it is. It's a bit deja vu, isn't it? We're on race 4 of the evening, and yeah, it is a bit. Look at Christian Saruta side by side here, going into Knickerbrook. Who's got the guts? Oh, switchback! Oh, look at that! What a switchback from Matt Dorrington. Great racing from both these guys. Into Drew as they go. Now, this is going to be very tough. Dorrington thinks better of it. That's smart, but...
Oh, he's gone deep.
Oh, and Saruta, bit of a mistake. Can he shut the door in time? I don't think so. I think Dorrington's going to get the run. Saruta doesn't throw the block. And Dorrington... Oh, is Saruta going to be able to hang it around the outside? Chaz, this is superb.
Simon Povey saying, Carl saying, yes, Peter, you can borrow a McCann for the weekend. There you go.
I'll take it. It's fine.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll have to eat my words.
Yeah, you never know, actually. Oh, that's actually quite interesting. Carl, if you do get the chance, go on. Give him a McCann. Just one to slightly wind him up a bit, but also see if we can convert him. See if he'll come back with a big smile on his face. I love it. To be fair, though, Carl has been such a great sport about it all. I absolutely love him. Fantastic stuff. But what amazing racing between these pair, though, Peter.
Oh no, the one I might be able to have my mind changed on SUVs, but I tell you, I wouldn't have my mind changed on PDK. That's for sure.
Carl said, "No, I'm just listening." Love it. Now, I don't know if Zaruta's going to hold on. We probably should be looking at the fact that these guys are so close together now for 2nd, 3rd and 4th, but this is just so amazing between these pair because they're just not going to give it up. 2 of the quickest guys in the field, really on form here. This is awesome to watch, but in fairness, we will go back to this.
Byron Crawford, and I tell you what, this has been a good drive from Carl Sharkey. A podium in the Pro class would be superb for the driver of the 77 car. And Steve Harpham lingering in the background there in the Momo mobile, and it will be white flag when we go over the line. 1 lap to go when they go over the line, so it's now or never for these guys.
It is indeed. Needs to get the job done. But we've seen this before, haven't we, around circuits like this, Peter, where they will just wait until the last lap because they know how hard it is to overtake. And if you have the pace on the driver in front of you, if you know that you've got the move in you and you can do it, you do it right near the end when the other driver's got no answer for it. But right now, Sharky's in a difficult situation because he's got to think about the attack from Stephen Harpen behind while also not running into the back of Byron Crawford. I really hope this doesn't go to tears for Byron Crawford.
That would be a real shame because this has been a superb battle. Finally, the flagman waves the white flag.
That nearly caught me out. I thought that was the checkered flag. I wondered what was going on.
No. So one more lap to go. Jacob Toss, he's way up the road in the lead, but Byron Crawford, can he hang on here? We know it's been tough to pass today, and what a run there! What a run! Coming out of Cascades, he's cascading through into second place with Kawasaki side by side. Oh, as they come down into Shell Oils, is Carl able to get the door shut? That's dearie me.
No, he's going to get a different type of door.
Just goes, happy birthday to Mr. Momo.
Yes, indeed.
No.
Byron had a little wiggle once he got off the brakes. That was such a shame. Look,
I think it was a mistake. I don't know if... Oh, here we go.
Sorry, I was on board with the wrong car then. That's completely my bad. Apologies. So look, as he gets on the brakes, the car just dances right a bit. It's just a bit too late, I'm afraid, by Byron. He does try and hold him off, but yeah, he tries to outbrake him, and it's just a bit of a mess, unfortunately. But into the final corner, we expected him to do it at least once tonight. Jacob Tofts, your championship leader in the pro class, crosses the line once again, and based on where Austin Greatorex finishes down in 11th, I think that could clinch the title for him, Peter. Coming into this, he was about, 44 points clear. He's surely gained more than that on Greatorex now. Harpham second, great drive. Sharky gets third just ahead of Cummings and Gary Tall. Byron Crawford eventually sixth, so still good result for him. Ben Simpson, seventh from starting in the pits. Dan Bathy goes into the pits right at the end, strangely. But I don't think Greatorex can do enough to hold on to second in the championship now, mate. I think that's surely Jacob Tofts.
I think so. It's as good as done, and it's his 7th win of the season. What a drive. Really, really impressive. He's been the star of the show all season long, is Jacob Tofts.
Yeah, he's been absolutely unbelievable. Absolutely unbelievable. And, we've seen, you and I have commentated on a lot of series in sim racing, and we've seen some incredible performances by people, but again, Tofts has just been one of those drivers that even if he has something very difficult thrown at him, like he had tonight with the penalties, he can just overcome it. And he's just a real talent. A real talent is Jacob, and it's been great to have him in the championship. Jokes aside from the car number and how much Peter hates that, it's been really, really good. We are just going to wait, though, for Mark Phillips to confirm that, as Peter has very rightly poked him. But Mark's too busy doing some lawn mowing for Johnny Palmer. Dorrington's having a bit of a Robot Wars scrap with Christian Saruta. They're expensive, boys. Come on. Still, nice to see them having a bit of a play.
Chester's just down the road. They can get a replacement for you. So.
And Jacob Tofts is champion. Porsche Sport have confirmed, yes. Although they're not Bernie, so we may get an oiled whip crack through the commentary box very shortly. But it's nice to see a bit of play time, isn't it?
Indeed, yeah, especially if you're celebrating a championship as well. Dorrington he's probably just celebrating being able to come and join us for a race. And I tell you what, it's been absolutely fantastic having him back in the championship. Much missed.
What he's actually doing is he's writing head to MidasSimulations.com on the track.
For all your sim racing needs.
Don't tell him it looks like an Audi badge.
There you go. Look now, what Zaruta's saying is, no, you've spelt it wrong. Get it out of the way. What are you doing, Matt? Oh, lovely stuff, though. Fantastic fun, once again. And, yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if Jacob Tofts was classed as champion right now. We'll look over the results of the race. Amazing gap as well. Tofts wins by 8.7 seconds over Stephen Harpham. Carl Sharkey third ahead of James Cummings with Gary Tall in fifth. Byron Crawford, such a shame about that incident near the end, but he still gets sixth place in a lot of points. Ben Simpson is seventh ahead of Mark Baxter-Jones and Mark Phillips in ninth. Austin Greatorex rounds out your 10. Then we have Dan Bathy and Christian Saruta ahead of Matt Dorrington, Stuart Clark and Stephen Kershaw. Chris Byram is 1 lap down, as well as those guys. Mark Johnson 7 laps down, and Johnny Elia as a victim of that incident very early on. That's such a shame for Johnny. But yes, not Zaruta, wow, I nearly said it wrong. Tofts is the champion, Peter. He's got the job done, and doing it from the pits to get a win as well. That's a hell of a way to round it out.
That is style, if I've ever seen it. And you know what? It's exactly what was deserved. We've seen Jacob be so impressive. I mean, we've had a couple of times where we've both gasped in awe at this young man and how quick he is. And I tell you what, with that hideous number weighing him down, I mean, it just makes it even more impressive. Just think how fast he could be in a Q-Reg. I mean, he could be really fast in a Q-Reg car. But yeah, no, he thoroughly deserves it. Does Jacob, and does it with a smile on his face, and always very gracious when he comes to join us and have a chat, which I'm sure we will very soon.
Yes, indeed. We're getting messages saying blame Luke for everybody thinking that Jake's the champion already. We are going to wait for Bernie to say, even though I've already told you that he's done it. We're watching back the incident from turn 1 though on its own, because so much went on. Kershaw got out of it not to hit those guys, then ended up in it anyway. Stuart Clark had some great avoidance, but Kershaw was just absolutely sandwiched in that look. He gets a big hit off Gary Toll, then off Greater-X, who then gets hit by Bernie. That spins him around. Byram gets headbutted by Zaruta. Kershaw then smacks into Baxter Jones. Sorry, not Baxter Jones, that was Cummings. Simpson then gets involved in it as well, offering everybody a martini along the way. It was all just a big chain reaction, wasn't it, really?
Yeah, it was. And I tell you what, you've got to give Chris Byram, the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, a real pat in the back. I've just read in the virtual paddock where all the drivers hang out and chat. Very apologetic. He said he's really sorry for his silly move, and you know what? We all make lots of them all the time, and that's what we like to see, and that's why this is such a friendly paddock, because all drivers make mistakes, but it's admitting to them and holding your hands up that keeps everyone together.
Yeah, indeed, and that's it. You know, we've both been in a number of series where, you know, sim racing is very, very competitive, and we've seen drivers be very friendly, very apologetic with each other, as we see here, but at the same time, we have to say it, you know, we've seen some very toxic environments because people can hide behind a screen and hide behind a keyboard and whatever else, and it does get very, very heated, because at the end of the day, this is the closest thing that a lot of these guys do get to racing. Some of them do it in real life. For the ones that do it in real life and don't take it as seriously as the ones that don't do it in real life, there's a big conflict, and it's just nice to be part of such a friendly paddock. You know, everybody gets on so well, and the racing is still good from it. And even when we do get incidents, everybody reviews it and looks at it professionally. They shake hands, move on, say, yep, fair enough, that's a decision. Happy days. And I absolutely love being a part of it. I'm actually quite sad we've only got one more round of the championship left, to be fair, Peter.
Yeah, it is. It's I think it's everything that's the essence of this particular championship, that's for sure. And yeah, Jacob Toft certainly forgives it. Of course, there can only be one King Hippo, Ryan Parkin, so we're going to have to think of another animal that defends its territory to call Jacob. It's being suggested he's the King Giraffe. Is he quite tall?
I'm not sure, but he's head and shoulders above the rest, though, isn't he, at this certain part? But not to rub that in while we have him in the interview room, Matt Dorrington joins us in the box. Matt, you obviously had a very good night when it came to race 1, but you really had to work hard in race 2, didn't you, mate?
Yeah, just on that note of Jacob, I believe it's been unanimous that he's the King Sloth.
King Sloth?
Yeah, apparently that's the name he's been given, so that's the one. Yeah, the racing in race 1 tonight was just absolutely superb. I had so much fun, smile on my face throughout the whole thing, super clean. It was absolutely brilliant fun, you know, really clean, fair racing, and you know, yeah, it was just absolutely awesome.
Do you think that lends itself to the circuit being difficult to overtake on, so people were a bit more patient and stayed behind one another, or do you think it was as a bit of a bounce back from last week where we saw quite a lot of attrition at Brands?
I think possibly a combination of both. I think there was very fair driving tonight. You know, space was left where I think, you know, in certain circumstances there might not have been, you know, like Brands or something. So I think it's a combination of the two, to be honest.
Well, it certainly looked like a lot of fun, and I mean, to have you back in it as well, you know, it throws up another very, very strong challenger for a race win, which is what Peter and I always enjoy having, because let's face it, the more people that can win a race, the more exciting the racing is. Not that I'm ever going to compare Formula One being anything like British Touring Car Championship, for example, but it's just great to have it. And the thing is as well that Peter and I were just discussing there is that the paddock always stays strong together and everybody still enjoys themselves, don't they? There's never really anybody that comes into it, doesn't enjoy themselves, kicks off and leaves. Everybody gets in it and they stay in it because they love it.
Sure. I think, we've got a really strong relationship as a group, and, the work that, like Bernie does, for example, keeping the group together, he does an amazing job as the head honcho. So, he's invaluable to the group, really, but, it's all about the people in it, and I think the people join this because they see, how we all do it, and, they want to be a part of it and they want to be part of that experience. So, I think that is what brings people in that are of a similar ethos to all of us. And I think that's how it stays how it does.
Yeah, definitely. No, you've hit the nail on the head there, to be fair. It draws in people for the right reasons, and then they stay for the right reasons as well. It's got a very, very good retention rate. But either way, it's been a shame not to have you with us the full season, Matt, because, your pace, as you know, and your results really do speak for themselves, have been incredible. If we do get another season of this, can we see you for the full season, do you know? Is there any way of giving us a bit of an insight?
Do you know, mate, work and life commitments are pretty intense.
Yeah.
And, I do this purely for enjoyment. And, for me, it's very much a situation of if I'm not going to enjoy it, then there's no point in me doing it. But to be honest, I've loved this season. I loved the first 3 rounds, having Jacob, Simon, Austin, and now like MBJ's coming along as well, Mark Baxter-Jones, all these guys, Christian Zaruta as well, everyone being there, and I mean, I've said to Gary Toole on several occasions, I'd love to be able to actually get a race with him, but we never actually seem to be able to get on track at the same time. Something always happens. But it's brilliant to have all these quick drivers here now, and I wish I could do every round, but to be honest with you, it's very much a situation for me that work and life has to come first.
Yeah, of course.
And a lot of the time, last 3 rounds I actually basically haven't been home in time to actually get on the simulator, so that's the reasons. But yeah,
well, that's it, mate. The overriding motto of sim racing is real life always comes first, which is perfectly justified. And while it is a shame not to have you with us, we do of course hope that everything outside of the sim continues to tick over smoothly as well, so the sim doesn't get in the way essentially. But either way, mate, great to speak to you again. Thank you very much for joining us tonight. Will we see you at the last round at least?
Yeah, fingers crossed. Work's kind of settled down a little bit as well, so hopefully last round, hopefully Jacob and Simon will be there as well, so we can have a nice big train at the front. Hopefully 7, 8, 9 cars right at the front, all battling it out. That'll be absolutely brilliant.
You're telling me, mate. Smashing stuff. Great to speak to you as ever, Matt. Is there anyone you want to give a quick shout out to before you go?
Yeah, thanks to you guys as usual, Chaz and Peter. You guys always do an awesome job, so thank you very much. Everyone in PCGB that's part of this, all the guys that drive, thank you so much for being a part of this, and taking on board things that we say as admins and stuff. We super appreciate everything you guys do. And yeah, Midas Simulation, quick little plug for that as well. Might as well while I'm here. And yeah, that's it. So thanks very much, guys. Really appreciate it.
Love it. See you soon, Matt. Thank you very much.
See you soon. Cheers, buddy.
Cheers. And, well, where would we be, Peter, without speaking to the man that took not only a fantastic win in this evening's second race from the pits, but the Season 3 championship title, the first driver other than Ryan Parkins to win it in his debut season. Jacob Toft, how do you feel, mate? You must be over the moon.
Yeah, I certainly didn't expect to win, especially after the first race. I didn't expect the pit lane start to be that harsh. But if anything, maybe it was a bit of a blessing for the second, and I certainly got lucky missing the crash out after turn 1 and everywhere else.
Yeah, it was a bit of a scary one, that, to be fair. Just a big chain reaction, but you managed to get your way through it, even with the updated iRacing smoke completely blinding everybody. Out of all tracks, though, for you to think that you could potentially get a win from the pit lane, did you think that Oulton Park would be the one, with how notoriously difficult it is to overtake?
Yeah, I wasn't very confident coming in here because I hadn't done much practice. and I'd never really driven Oulton Park before, and so I didn't know prior that this would be so hard to overtake here. But if you can set up a move all right, in the last corner I found was the best. If you can set up a move going into there, then it's doable. And also maybe fast right-hander on the back straight, but you have to, the car on the outside or the inside has to give way. So it has to be respect there, which luckily we have.
Yeah, well, that's it. Again, Peter and I have just discussed it, and we've also mentioned it to Matt Dorrington, that, the respect in this paddock, even if there is a bit of a questionable move or a little bit of a clumsy move by somebody, it all gets sorted out properly afterwards. And you all seem to know what each other are like, not just from like the Discord and the virtual paddock and so on, but just on track. You all know each other's behaviour because you've been racing together all season. Do you think that a lot of the confidence that everyone has to speak to each other behind the scenes helps improve the racing as well?
Yeah, definitely. It's not more so the just general chat or banter. It's when you speak to people after the race and you discuss things. You discuss why what they did wrong was bad, and how this person reacted to it. Did it in a good way, and maybe this person reacted in a bad way and made the situation worse or didn't improve it. So yeah, it's always good to just discuss things as a group and openly to improve the situation, as always, as with anything.
Yeah, definitely. That's it. As long as it's constructive, it's worth discussing. Now, obviously, you've won the championship. You'll be over the moon with obviously obvious reasons. But talk to us about the final meeting. We know that. Lewis Hamilton's been known for the fact that he can win a championship with a few meetings to go, and then he just takes his foot off the gas. Can we expect another race win just to round it out? At least one from you in the final meeting, do you reckon? Road Atlanta?
Maximum send.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hopefully Matt and Simon are going to be there so we can have a race, because Matt's been dodging because he's been working, not had much time because of work, so he's not been able to race. And the one time he's here, I had to start from the pits. So
yeah,
hopefully it's all good. Hopefully it's all good for Road Atlanta, and we can have a good race to end the season.
Well, he's just said the same as well. He hopes that you and Simon are both there and you can have a good train at the front. So we certainly look forward to seeing it. Peter, is there any questions from you before we round out?
Are you going to run the number 1 plate next season?
I don't know. I've heard loads of people have actually been messaging me, Peter, about how good 116 is. Because there's this driver. I can't. Is it Ash Sutton? I might be wrong.
Yeah.
I don't know how you can forget the amount of TV time he gets.
Yeah, because he's quite good, isn't he? I think so.
He is very good. Yes.
Yeah, so people have been liking them, supporting the number 116. So I might keep it. I'm not sure.
To be fair,
he's run the number 1 plate. Funnily enough.
I was going to say,
I'll just do whatever Ash Sutton does.
Okay.
as much as I am a fan of Ash, it does actually bother me when people don't run the number 1 next season, Jacob. So I'm going to put that seed of doubt in your mind, just so you know that if you don't race with it next season, that I'll be angry in the commentary box.
Okay, I think we have a deal. But maybe I'll have to run Ash Sutton on the rear wing, maybe.
Get Ash's logo, yeah. I think I've got it as a PNG, actually.
Red number plate.
Yeah.
Either way, Jacob, it's been a phenomenal season from you. Still one meeting to go, which we're very excited for. Well done from us here at Simracersworld TV. It's been an absolute joy to watch you. Is there anyone you want to give a shout out to while you're here, mate?
Yeah, thanks to the usual Sharky Bikes, Porsche Sport, Mida Simulation, Johnny Moore Watches, you guys and the organisers. They put a lot of effort into this, and maybe it looks like it's just all run smoothly in the stream, but it certainly doesn't sometimes behind the scenes. So thanks again to them.
Smashing. Thank you very much, Jacob. Well done again, mate. Absolute star you've been this season, and we look forward to seeing you at the last one.
Thank you. Thanks, guys.
Cheers. He's such a nice guy as well, isn't he, Jacob Toffs? And how many times have I ever said that? We have someone in for an interview, and then I say they're such a great guy, but we just have so many wonderful people to talk to when we're in the profession that we are, don't we, Peter? We are quite blessed with that.
I think particularly with this championship, I think it's a pretty special place to be. As you and I know, Chaz, it's not a guarantee that people are going to get on, and it's particularly when it's easy when you're behind a screen and you're not actually physically meeting people. It's easy to be a bit more opinionated and a bit more aggressive, and the guys do a great job of keeping that camaraderie up from a distance. And by the sound of things, it's going to be, that now that things are beginning to open up again, there'll be a kind of in-person socialising aspect as well, which is cool.
Yeah, definitely. And you know what? Coming back to what I mentioned before and name dropping Bobby Thompson, it was actually we discussed the same thing, because recording a podcast is something that a few of us haven't got much experience in. I mean, obviously you know it like the back of your hand, but you don't have some of the same natural flow that you would if you met in person and just stuck a mic between the three of you. And it's good to be able to see that on the horizon potentially, because I think that makes such a big difference. Content when it's over the internet can be entertaining in its own little way, but when it's in person and you can actually meet somebody, I mean, we still have the plan for our video in mind, and I so look forward to the day when we can just freely go out and do that and not worry about COVID implications again. So to briefly glaze over the COVID situation, I think that we're on the horizon of being able to do face-to-face content, which would be a lot of fun, I think.
It certainly will. Yes, looking forward to it.
So, that is the end of this evening's broadcast, I'm afraid, everybody. That's all we have time for, although 2.5 hours has flown by ridiculously quickly. Oulton Park has never disappointed in this championship, and we really look forward to coming back again. However, I know that Peter is almost foaming at the mouth at the fact that we go back to Road Atlanta next time out. Make sure you join us in 2 weeks' time for the season finale, where we will crown ourselves a club class champion. Jacob Tofts takes the pro title honours, but it's still all to play for the positions behind him. I've been Chaz Draycott, with the wonderful Peter MacKay, as always, on Simracersworld TV, and this has been the Porsche Club of Great Britain Sim Racing Championship Season 3. Have yourselves a great evening, everybody. We will see you again very, very soon. Good night.